Hello everyone, Jay here, your host with the OverMangaCast. On this episode, we have a long overdue revisit with our favorite Forger family. Join us as we read Spy X Family, chapters 18 to 35. Now bring on the floof!
Hello everyone and welcome back to the OverMangaCast. My name is Sam, and we read more Spy X Family, and as always at the top of the episode, we talk about what our experience with the franchise that we read is. This is another revisit episode, so I don't think much has changed for many of us other than we were wrong. The anime is a thing that is going to happen, and the trailer came out, and it's really good. I love Anya's voice actor. It's perfect gremlin energy. Jay, how about you?
Jay here. So I can't be more pleased to have been wrong in my life. So much looking forward to the anime when it comes out. I hope that all of the wonkiness is perfectly maintained and that we're able to further be immersed into the whole Forger universe. So
all of the great faces from this section we get to see in motion.
I know. So great.
How about you, Matt?
I have not read any more since we last picked up, so everything we read for this section was completely new to me. And yeah.
And Jacob?
I actually didn't get around to reading anything either. I've mentioned a couple of times I'm a slow reader, so like actually sitting down and getting to it for even things I'm really enthusiastic about tends to be a slow process for me. So it was good to have my feet to the fire so I could actually do the thing I wanted to do instead of procrastinate about it forever.
Well, Jake, I know that you definitely wanted to continue reading because there's dogs.
This dog! They get a big floofy cloud dog and I'm so happy.
Yes, the first bit that we read for this episode is very unfortunate terrorist plot being foiled by the Forgers.
Good. Those terrorists are the evilest terrorists that have ever existed in the history of anything. I hate them. They deserve all the pain they got and more.
But we open with what a Westalis diplomat is coming to Berlin for a summit of some variety. And a bunch of radicalized college students have decided they are going to bomb this summit.
I do not endorse the action of these college students because no one should stoop as low as to use poor innocent puppies for their own gain.
Yeah, forget the terrorism. It's the fact that they're using dogs as weapons that's the real crime.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
The conceit of this plan is that due to some military experimentation during the war, I believe it was the East or they use them interchangeably.
I'm pretty sure it was the East that was doing the experiments.
Yeah. Well, regardless, one of the sides did some experiments to create a hyper-intelligent dog, to which I believe they say it's revealed at some point in an info dump that the experimentation or the project itself was considered unsuccessful, but regardless, the dogs that were bred in this are incredibly intelligent, which these radicalized college kids have found their way into the possession of these ex-military dogs.
They do not deserve them.
Of course not. The sequence of events is they were doing tests on a bunch of different kinds of animals. And the ones that got focused on in this plot arc were the dogs, but there's like a monitor that's showing all the different animals they did stuff to. They were like messing with like dolphins and things. The war specifically ended before they made any meaningful strides. They were, making progress, but they weren't getting anywhere quickly. And then the war ended. So a bunch of the animals got onto the black market, and that's how the college students were able to get them.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So essentially, the college kids have a group of hyper-intelligent dogs that they are going to use to go after with, essentially they're going to make suicide bombers, these dogs, to reincite the war between East and West Berlin, because they are under the idea that a war would be better, because they're very strong radicalized nationalist,
war to return us to glory, because that's how that works.
The East will rise again.
They might be going to war for all the wrong reasons. Because I'm just saying, if I see a bunch of hyper-intelligent dogs having to sacrifice themselves for your cause, I'm sorry. I'm just against
no
whatever
cause
you're
is
doing.
worth that.
Yes.
No cause is worth that.
The dog war.
Anyway, as we have set up, the premise of this situation is that there is a group of radical nationalist terrorists with suicide bomber dogs. Because everything in Spy Family is lucky coincidences, or probably unlucky coincidences, Anya is currently getting the reward for receiving a stellar star, which is she gets her own dog. And I'm sure these plot lines won't converge in a horrible mess up of fate.
We had a very fun moment where the Forger family is going to a pet shop.
Well, pet shop in air quotes.
Yeah, pet shop in air quotes, because it's another front for Wise, the spy agency that Twilight works for.
I love how Wise gets progressively less secretive as we keep moving on, because this pet shop is Wise branded, and another section we read later, they just start branding things with their secret spy logo.
Look, it's fine. The point is that this was set up as a way to get a highly trained and powerful guard animal for the Forger family. And so there are many very frightening looking doggos that Anya is not impressed with. Though she does read their minds, and the like jacked one looking like Spike out of Tom and Jerry is just thinking, me strong, me big, which I thought was very funny.
They're all good puppers in their own way, but they're not the doggo for Anya.
Yeah, big surprise. The small child isn't very pleased with the with these dogs, and so she's like, I don't want any of these doggies.
Anya's currently afraid of big dogs because she read Twilight's mind last time about what kind of dog she's gonna get.
It was Yor that scared her because Yor was thinking about the dogs that she has to interact with on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Rip people apart, and
Yep.
Anya's like, oh no.
I don't want that. So it is recommended that they go to a nearby adoption fair that just so happens to be going on, which is like, I guess it's just basically a convention full of adoptable animals, which does sound delightful, admittedly.
It's all animals too is the thing, and like I love how even Anya and Yor both say it's kind of weird that Lloyd didn't just tell us to come here. This seems like a much better place than
the alternative. Unfortunately, Lloyd doesn't happen to be there at the moment because he gets a secret signal from somebody hiding very conspicuously behind a doorway, and he informs the family that he has to go poop.
Yes, it's an emergency. I can't explain. I just gotta poop right now.
He's like, I'm just having some gastrointestinal trouble. I'll be back. And because he thinks this is going to be a quick meeting. No, he's being driven across town.
Or he's just like, my family is going to, I have a serious problem. I'm going to be away for like 6 hours.
And indeed he is.
It's great. But yeah, Wise has caught Wise to this terrorist plot as they have plucked up one of the radicalized students who isn't talking. And so they pull some classic Twilight, looking like a nightcast with his disguise excellency trickery.
Mission Impossible mask doing a little reverse interrogation.
Mm-hmm. They have Twilight disguise as who they believe to be the cell leader, who appears to the prisoner to completely lose his spine, chicken out, and say, it was all him. He's the one who came up with the plan. Just don't hurt me. Which shakes the prisoner's confidence in the plot enough to
divulge details.
I guess it's a good thing that this guy doesn't know his leader very well, because we learn later that this leader is hardcore. He is willing to murder a child. I don't think he would crumble this easy.
No. And Twilight even points that out. It's like, it's a good thing this guy isn't particularly bright, because I was guessing on literally every mannerism I did. If he knew that guy in any personal degree, this would not have worked.
And Handler's just like, it's fine. It worked. As this is going on, we get a scene, seemingly not involving any of our main characters, as two guys are walking a pair of dogs, one of which is incredibly large and floofy.
He's a floofy clown.
And this dog, seemingly at random, runs to grab a child. And, like, this is a large dog and this is a small child. It is fully reasonable to think, oh no, something tragic is about to happen. But no, Big Doggo is averting tragedy because he pulls the child out of the way of a collapsing signboard that would have crushed him flat.
Because dogs are wonderful and flawless creatures.
And as correct as you are in that, Jacob, it is also because this dog can see the future.
Ooh. He's super smart and super powerful and super floof.
Yes.
That last one is the important part.
This might just be the goodest boy in anything we've read so far for this show.
He's definitely a contender.
Continuing to be walked around by who we learn are more parts of this radicalized cell.
He wanders by a window,
which happens to feature an Anya.
She's just doing her, passive mind reading thing. And she reads in the mind of this dog, the dog seeing her entire family, including Lloyd, who is not there. And Anya realizes that
this dog is seeing the future.
This dog has powers like me, and it's adorable.
Mm-hmm.
And then she realizes she can't just say to your mama, this dog already knows us. I want this one who's being walked by a completely different person outside of the adoption center. So she sneaks off, which,
as Anya is wont to do,
Yor is looking for her, and she leaps into the rafters and is looking down over the entire
I can't see her anywhere.
Her entire mental gymnastics she's going through this, oh no, Lloyd is going to kill me. This is really bad. Did she get eaten by a dog? Wait, no, they don't do that.
Did she get kidnapped by someone who's going to make her into a child bride?
I heard on the news that was a thing that was happening.
You know what? Fine. Just go find her, Yor. I think we're not at the discussion yet, but I think Yor's my favorite character for this segment of reading that we did. She is just consistently delightful.
We actually follow Anya. She's able to trail behind and find the apartment building, and indeed the actual apartment where Big Floofy Cloud Dog has gone to. And she overhears this most dastardly of plots.
To send the dogs in, strapped with bombs to blow up the minister. And obviously, this cannot stand. So just as she's about to go and find some way to alert an authority figure, hopefully, she's caught by the terrorists. We meet Keith, the leader that Twilight was impersonating earlier. And true to what I said earlier, he's willing to murder a child, specifically this child. He just pulls out a knife she heard what we were saying. She can't be allowed to live.
If you were wondering if these people were supposed to be in any way redeemable or relatable, no!
Mm-hmm.
Hands off our Anya.
Yeah, thankfully, Big Doggo is a very good boy and unwilling to let this happen, and so leaps to Anya's defense.
At first, he jumps in front of Anya, and then all of the terrorists with several weapons and the other dogs start growling, and he goes next to Anya instead.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, fair. He's 85% floof.
Yes. He wants to protect the peanut.
Which, honestly, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Anya is adorable. She radiates must protect energy.
Speaking of radiating must protect energy, Yorgo's a little bit mama bear.
The way they actually get away is Big Floofy Cloud Dog sees the future and knows that the phone is about to ring, which will distract everyone. And in that split second, while they're all turned to notice the phone, he picks Anya up, throws her on his back, and runs out the door. And there is the most adorable of panels where at first Anya is very scared about everything that's going on, but then she realizes it's so exciting going this fast on riding on this dog.
Then she realizes that she is riding on a dog like 4 times her size, and it is super cool. Unfortunately, Doggo has bad sense of direction. So even though she says, we're going to the police, we're going to save the day, he runs a circle through the block and gets caught by the terrorists again in an alley.
Yeah, it's worth noting, this is a very intelligent dog. This is still a dog. He has no idea what's going on.
He is that image of the dog in the lab coat going, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, but luckily, as they have been caught and essentially are going to dispatch this child, we get an amazing panel of Yor appearing from the ether, like fully shadowed down, glaring white eyes of just like about to end this man's life.
Like a Helsing panel. It's amazing.
There are so many panels in this of Yor and Twilight just being absolute monsters. You know, the shot of looking up at their looming, terrifying form. It's so good.
Well, I have a theory on this because we have to remember their motivation is to be able to protect children. Yor, from a young age, she raised her younger brother. And we have to remember that Twilight's motivation for becoming a spy was so that no child has to see war and do suffer. So children are like
experience what he did.
Exactly. So it's like children are a huge no-no for both of them.
I just like the other thing I love about this, and there's another moment that I think is a funny parallel to this, but Yor has this like incredibly like totally serious badass moment in this comedy series where she just looks unbelievably cool. Now she's picked up Anya in her arms and is like striking a cool pose. Anya is much too young to become your bride.
You say it, mommy.
Like, lady, I'm a terrorist. I'm not a monster.
It's so perfect. Because
I do love that Yor's like introduction attack when she leaps into the scene pinballs one of the terrorists off of the alley walls and floor like 5 times.
Yep.
This is not the most impressive thing she will do by the end of this story.
Yeah, I really want to point out, I think I mentioned this in the previous episode, the one thing I really was holding against Spy Family is despite the fact they tell us Yor's an assassin, the plot lines from the previous reading really didn't showcase that much, except she got a few bonus episodes where she actually got to be an assassin. She feels like an assassin in the reading we did this time.
She feels like a fucking Super Saiyan.
She's a force of nature.
It's great. I love it.
Keith, the lead terrorist, wants to sick one of the dogs that's still loyal to the terrorists on this crazy lady who came out of nowhere, and Yor just gives it a mama bear look that sends it running in terror.
Yeah, Yor pours all of her motes into her intimidate excellency right there. Because Ken, they're just exalts. I don't care. We will see what Yor does later in this arc that proves I'm right. There is something supernatural about her. The terrorist and dog flee before this horrifying woman, and Yor's like, well, I've got one kidnapper down. I'm gonna call the police. And so she does. And Anya is, just kind of chilling nearby with the doggo.
Yay, the day was saved. Nothing else is going to happen, right?
And Doggo's like, oh, I'm getting a future sight again. Huh, that guy is gone. And the little girl and the lady are real sad. Oh, something exploded. Oh, he's dead.
Meanwhile, Anya's reading his mind going like, what? No, what? What? What?
It's actually pretty harrowing because it's shots of like Yor and Anya crying and, Twilight's mangled corpse crushed under a fallen building.
They show Twilight's body after getting exploded. It's, you're invested in the characters, you care about them. It really hurts to see that.
Mm-hmm.
We've come so far for it to end this way.
I mean, I know I'm being emotionally manipulated by you, manga, but I don't care. You've got me.
I also, before we get too far away from it, I like when Yor calls the police. the little side panel of her on the phone with the police dispatch, where there's like, "Oh, I found this knocked out kidnapper. How do I know this? Oh, I'm just a housewife. I'm going to leave now. Please arrest him." And then hangs up, and I'm like, "That's not."
Yes, I am just a simple housewife. Yes.
I'm going to leave now. Please come and arrest him.
I mean, they do ultimately catch him, to be fair, but
she's not exactly subtle.
I like the little side thing they don't spend a lot of time directly addressing, but when we cut back to Twilight at his headquarters of Spy Association, someone comes in and is like, "We just got a report from a random housewife that the terrorist, one of the terrorists, has been found." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Clearly her lie worked, I guess.
And Twilight's like, "Oh, nice. Serendipity. Let's use this." But Anya, of course, can't explain to Yor why she knows Papa's about to die. So, in order to explain why she is riding off on this giant dog to go save Papa, she says, "Papa's been crapping a long time. He doesn't have any toilet paper."
It's here we all need. Nothing can be more jarring than having that nightmare where you're in a stall and there's no toilet paper.
No TP.
I mean, if you've been pooping for 6 hours, you probably need some toilet paper no matter what's going on there.
You need all the help you can get.
I like, I think this is where Yor starts thinking, like, "Oh no, he's been in the bathroom for 6 hours. Was it because I made breakfast?"
Probably. Maybe.
being a plot point.
I'll mention this in greater detail later, but I do love how, like, this one-off, it seems like a random lie that Twilight came up with and became a gag, is actually a plot point that prompts character development for Yor. So Anya's riding off to victory to go save Papa. The vision from the dog even showed the clock tower. She knows what time it's going to happen. She doesn't know how to tell time because she's an idiot. I love Anya, but she's an idiot.
She is small Beeb. She does not know how the clock works.
She is a first grader, so that is...
That's a factor, yeah.
She should have... At her fancy prep school, that is probably something she should have learned already, but...
See, it's a combination of things. She's very young. She very well might be younger than she claimed to be. We don't know. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she was the age she said she was, but she very easily could have been lying because she knew that's what Twilight wanted to hear. And then on top of that, until recently, she's made a point of not learning things because she can just read people's minds. So she is kind of a willing idiot in a lot of cases. She probably didn't learn how to tell time because of that.
So she asks a random passerby, discovers that she has 30 minutes. Is that a long time? Anyway, we gotta go save Papa.
Oh my gosh. Is 30 minutes a long time?
I don't know.
She finds out her time limit. She doesn't know what it means.
It's one episode of Bond Man, Anya.
That I get. Yeah. All right.
See, that would actually probably work. With the commercials.
Okay, that's slightly better.
While this is happening, a whole bunch of the terrorists have been rounded up, again, thanks to Anya and Yor's amazing work. And we get a pretty freaking great moment from the Handler.
Oh, yeah, I love this.
Easily second favorite character. She is just really cool.
This is a happy, funny, wholesome comedy series, but boy, it has teeth when it wants to. Her interrogation method is to kick someone's teeth out and then say to the next guy when they say that won't work, basically, did your university not teach you what war is like? And then, like, went through a list of all of the things that I can only assume that she and Twilight went through over the course of the previous war.
Have you ever been killed before? What? Obviously not. I'm still here. Have you ever killed someone before? Have you ever been in a bombing? Have you ever heard bones break or limbs being torn off? Have you seen a friend die? Have you seen other friends take their own lives because they couldn't handle it? Have you seen more? I thought your university would teach you better. As she holds a gun to one of their heads.
It's a censored version, by the way, because it gets pretty graphic to great effect.
Uh-huh. It is chilling. And it works. These kids give up a whole bunch of information. And now Keith
basically the only one they can't catch is Keith because he's not following the plan because he's the leader making it up.
Keith, upon realizing that they've been had, rigs the last safe room to explode, which is the explosion that is going to kill Lloyd, according to the Future Sight dog. Thankfully, Anya arrives just in time, sneaks in through a window. She's smart enough to put on gloves so she doesn't leave fingerprints, whatever those are. And she goes to disarm the bomb and goes, wait a minute, this isn't like the cartoons. Where's the red wire and the blue wire? They're all black.
It's almost like if you were actually making a bomb, you wouldn't want it to be easy to disarm.
I feel so bad for Anya because there are so many great Anya faces that are like the exaggerate, like the like that stuff is spectacular. But one thing they did really well in this moment with Anya trying to defuse the bomb on the door, the genuine desperation on her face, because this is really serious. I felt so bad for Anya. You would have no reason to know how to do this. Don't feel bad. Mm-hmm. You're doing so well right now.
Thankfully, she improvises. She leaves a message written in, is that blood? No, it's ketchup. She draws a bomb on the door in ketchup, which
it's interpreted as no eggplant.
Thankfully, this actually does prompt Twilight to be like, wait a minute, there could be something. And he the room that is rigged to explode is perpendicular. No, not perpendicular. It's
there's a window off to the side that he can use a reflective surface to look at the door from the inside.
He's like, oh, that is rigged to explode. We all would have died if we tried to open that. Whoever left that message just saved our lives. We're going to crawl through the window now and be the professionals undoing the bomb.
I love how Twilight is like selectively stupid in this single moment because he's like, someone gave us a warning. Well, let's not think who that could possibly be. He just kind of accepts the help.
He really does just let that slide. He's like, some person listened to their better angels. Maybe it was one of the terrorists who failed art class.
But come on, the ketchup. That's like textbook little kid stuff.
Yeah. In the moment, he's like, I don't have time to think about this. We're going to, solve this problem and then move on. But he does seem to forget that happened afterward, which is interesting.
Yeah, our boy holds the idiot ball for a brief moment. It had to happen to him eventually.
I mean, it is a comedy series, so...
It is in this moment that the vision of the dog changes back to reflect Lloyd being in the future, and Anya's very happy about this, because we saved Papa! Now we need to deal with the rest of the terrorists. Oh, boy.
Oh, yay.
Saved Papa and world peace, because part of what Anya saw in Big Floofy Cloud Dog's future vision was that this happening would have indeed resulted in war. Mm-hmm. So Anya saved the world because she's awesome like that.
Yes, with the power of dog, she saved the world.
I love this series so much.
It is pretty great. But yeah, Twilight decides to use impenetrable disguise once more and becomes the very minister that the terrorists are targeting, taking the man's clothes in the process.
He's very angry about this.
He's left there in his underwear calling Handler like, who the hell do you people think you are? The one saving your life, sir. Okay, whatever. Fine.
You may leave at any time, but please put on some clothes first.
It would be a great blow to national dignity otherwise. Twilight, pretending to be the minister, actually walks right by Yuri, which I hadn't noticed in the moment because I was too busy appreciating the deception on Twilight's part. But yeah, he walks right by Yuri, who is part of this security detail, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's supposed to be one of the people who's on the East's side guarding this Western diplomat.
Yeah. And a great car chase ensues as Twilight specifically had to go full Arnold with "give me your clothes" off of the diplomat because he knew they were using dogs, so he needed something with the diplomat's scent.
The diplomat does ask the very reasonable question of, but why did you need my clothes?
Taken off of my body. They're
Smells.
using
I love
Smells.
I love I love how these dogs are so hyper intelligent. They can track smells from the passenger seat of a car. That's my favorite part.
That's a good trick.
I forget like how much they did study on how dogs perceive smell, and I believe like a significant portion of their brain already processes smells. So it makes sense why you would capitalize off of that as a form of intelligence.
That is true. It's also
Through glass on a highway.
Yeah, when there's exhaust creating that smell, and
They're very smart dogs.
Twilight still smells like Twilight under the clothes.
Look,
Who knows?
the dog smelling the diplomat's clothes on Twilight and being able to follow him on a highway in a car with that is not the most unreasonable feat of supernatural ability. Before the end of this arc, we'll get to that.
Oh my god, we'll get to the greatest fight in this comic, Yor versus Car.
Yor versus anything is the best fight ever. She just runs it.
Yor versus Tennis Ball is also a very good one, but
That is a good one.
Get there.
we'll get there.
Basically, we have exciting chase scene go.
My favorite panel in this little sequence is when Keith drives up next to what he thinks is just some 60-year-old politician and Twilight immediately pulls gun.
As you do.
You do.
And eventually Twilight stops the car, gets out and tries to escape from the dog on foot, and the guy's like, what an idiot! He thinks he can outrun a dog on foot, and then he parkours over a wall.
Who is this guy?
Well, I mean, remember,
Supposed to be
he's like an
60.
old man. Yeah, he's an old man. He's like, what the hell?
And then you get to the other side of the wall, and of course, Twilight does the impossible feat of marksmanship, the strap of the bomb off of the dog to save the dog.
How they frame that scene, though, it's the chapter ends with Twilight pointing his gun directly at the dog who's lunging at him. So I'm like, I know you didn't choose this life, but right now we're on opposite sides. And cocks the gun, and then end of chapter. Next chapter, he shoots the bomb vest off the dog.
Yeah. It really does look like he's about to cap this dog.
I kind of knew they were going to go that route because, as I mentioned last time, Twilight is the character they have to be most careful about maintaining audience sympathy for. And if he shoots a dog dead, even under these circumstances, that's not great.
In all fairness, the dog he would be shooting dead is a very vicious-looking German Shepherd, which is probably like the minimum amount of sympathy you can get for audiences liking dogs. Probably only a Doberman or like a pit bull would get even less sympathy, but yeah.
But yeah, it's still in that arena. And even more so, the fact that Twilight does do the impossible feat of marksmanship, shoot the strap off the dog, increases the sympathy rather than threatens decreasing it. So it's one of those ones where you kind of know that the moment is coming, but it doesn't really diminish it at all.
He also does deck that dog into some garbage, so...
He takes the bite on the arm and then cans the dog right into the dumpster.
There's a level of like, you did bite me, so...
Yeah,
I'm
no,
getting back at you at the most minor way possible.
Yeah, I am subduing the thing attacking me. Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah, and it also lets him, seal the dumpster, and it's like, we'll come back for you later.
He yeets the bomb into the nearby river, which goes off to Keith's great and utter confusion. And then we get Twilight's badass scene, because by this point he had taken his Mission Impossible mask off. So he's just silhouetted with shining eyes in the mist from the explosion.
Okay, dear listeners, I know I make my, exalted jokes every episode. This is an actual power that exalts have. Specifically, Nightcast Solars, when they are at their coolest, you can see their silhouette, but their glowing anime powers make it that you can't see any details of their face. This is literally the Nightcast anima.
I understood some of those words.
I love it so much.
I love the contrast between Yor gets a badass moment and then it's hilariously deflated by her complete misunderstanding of the situation, whereas Twilight gets a badass moment, but he actually gets to keep it.
Patriarchy.
Yor gets plenty of badass moments later on as well, and Twilight gets a little bodied at times too. It's great.
That's the whole thing about it. Twilight needs to be more sympathetic because he's the one who is the most keeping the family from being a genuine family, because he still has that sort of spy persona. So letting him keep his badass moment is a good trade for Yor being a little bit goofy. Plus, it makes Yor even more endearing.
I can't wait until finally they have the big reveal and they're just like, wait, we were the perfect found family in the first place if we were just open and honest with each other? Cool.
and everybody will be like, yes!
Well, not everybody.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to Yuri.
And Yuri and others.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, and we'll also get to her. But Keith flees, and Twilight is like, you idiot. I reported your plates to Wise, who have leaked it to the police, and your car is severely damaged. You couldn't be more conspicuous if you tried. The police will pick you up, and you'll be taken into custody, and all this will be handled. The police do not take him into custody, because Yor does.
That's even worse.
He is driving down the road at high speed, going, I'll get you next time, gadget. And...
he's actively speeding.
Yes.
Yor recognizes him through a windshield while on a bridge and is like, that's that asshole. She leaps off the bridge, and she's become, informed of the terrorist plot. So she has correctly switched from kidnapping child bride enthusiast to kidnapping terrorist.
Excuse me.
and so... Yor leaps off of the bridge, lands in front of the car. Keith is like, get out of the way, you stupid idiot. And she roundhouse kicks the car so hard he hits a telephone pole.
I'm pretty sure that's not covered by insurance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure being kicked by a superwoman doesn't cover anything.
We're just establishing Yor has superpowers now, right? Like...
Yes.
That is blatantly supernatural. This isn't, she's just really skilled, or, she's been doing, this violent
she
stuff her
knows
whole
the
life.
pressure points of a car, apparently.
Yor has just awakened the aspect of an assassin. So anything that could possibly be in an assassin's domain, she is amazing at it. It's kind of why everything she cooks turns to poison.
That would explain some things.
So, terrorists foiled. The two forger women are very happy that they were key in foiling the terrorist plot, and no one will ever know. And
Yor calls the police, going like, hey, I noticed a car accident. I think this guy's a terrorist. Come arrest him. I'm just a housewife. Hangs up.
Yes.
Them
And it works
housewives,
again.
they've been seeing all this action. Seriously.
And so Yor's like, I helped foil a terrorist plot and no one will ever know. And like, she's just delighting in the irony. And Anya's like, I saved Papa and the world and no one will ever know. And Twilight's like, I'm so tired.
All this pooping that I'll have to tell my family.
And dog go wolf.
He go Worf.
He does go Worf.
I love how it would be so easy for Wise to just call him on his phone and say, hey, say that there's a medical emergency or like there's a mental health emergency at the hospital. They could just do that.
It'd be so easy and you'd have hours.
Oh, no, they don't have cell phones.
But they could do, but you could tap like a payphone or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then have that ring.
So inconspicuous. A payphone rings randomly. Oh, it's the hospital. I need to leave.
Alternatively, you tell your family you're pooping for 6 hours. They'll never notice.
What's more like rational here? Oh, there's an emergency at work. I better take care of this, honey. Have a great day. Or I just need to poop. 4.5 hours later, hemorrhoids.
Twilight is a master of human interaction, so he spends the most of his time with Anya and Yor. Him knowing that I'm going to be pooping for 6 hours is a lie that would work on his wife and child is 100% in his wheelhouse.
That is fair.
Also
You know what?
very sad.
You're right. You're right.
That is a fair point.
Don't worry about me. I'm just going to be pooping. Oh, okay.
Oh no, was it the breakfast I made?
As long as you're not cheating on other women.
As long as you're not playing
tennis
tennis,
with some thoughts.
that makes me irrationally angry compared to pooping for 6 hours. That's not how you say that sentence. I'm not correct.
Well, everyone knows that going off to poop is not nearly as sexy as tennis.
Going off to poop is like going to war. And we know
playing
Twilight wants to end all war.
I am so glad I'm a hermit. We end with everyone converging, and Anya demands Big Floofy Cloud Dog is the dog she picks, and she threatens not to go to school anymore if they can't keep him.
The entire plan. So obviously, Lloyd's boss lady. Did we ever find her name?
I think it's Sylvia because
His handler. Having children herself sympathizes with poor Anya and says, you know what, we should let her have the dog. You know, the dogs, we're not going to get too much information out of them. It's fine.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure handler's name is Sylvia, if I'm remembering correctly, because the diplomat calls her by that name when he calls to rage about Twilight taking his clothes. And also, she said that she had a daughter that age once.
Yes. Whether or not that's true, do we know if that's true?
We don't know if that's true. Whether or not that's Anya.
I'm just saying her demeanor in the whole situation is just like, it's okay. Kids are like this. It's going to be fine. We know that our investigators are going to have their hands full with all these dogs, and we probably won't get that much information out of the dogs themselves. It'll be fine. You can pick up Floof tomorrow.
During the war, East Berlin was doing a whole bunch of weird human experiments. I signed up for one to see if I could have psychic children, but then the war ended and I had to give up that baby. I'm calling it. That's what the plan is.
Oh my god!
I believe it.
I'm not gonna lie. I was expecting a reveal that like the lab that was messing with the dogs was the same lab that was messing with Anya. That didn't happen, but it still might.
So it's like all the same lab.
Yeah, we also know East Berlin, their whole thing is they did a lot of like super science experiments. A lot of them are apparently very unethical because it gets brought up repeatedly that if any of the test results from the experiments they did during the war got out, that might cause a civil war might reignite the war.
It might start the war again or be a civil war or something bad.
There's so many parallels to actual real life events.
Yeah, East and West Berlin are not saints in their little conflict.
No, of course not. But all it makes me think of is chocolate whenever you say Berlin.
Lint?
I think of Lint chocolate, okay?
We do have a very adorable scene where the vision the dog had of seeing the Forger family comes true.
Oh, I love this scene so much. Because Anya is reading Big Floofy Cloud Dog's mind and is seeing they're all beckoning him into the living room, and he's very scared because the last time he went where people told him to, we see what happened to the poor baby.
Is it
horrible scientific tortures?
Is it Twilight, or is it Sylvia who has the conversation with Anya that's like, hey, he's had a really rough life. If you're going to adopt him, you need to make sure he gets lots of love and attention and feels safe.
It was Sylvia that's
I think they both say something like that, because I think Sylvia says it when they initially agree. It's like, we're gonna take him overnight, we're gonna make sure that he's healthy and that he's not got anything on him that could be bad for you, and then we'll return him in the morning. And then during this scene, I think Twilight repeats something similar.
It's because, well, maybe Twilight might not be aware of the full extent, but it at least sees, what the German Shepherd dogs were trained to do, and what. Yeah, he's like, they've been through some stuff, so just know that they're going to have to be love bombed for several days. Forever.
Yes.
Also,
Forever.
Twilight is at least now under the guise of a psychologist, so he definitely is also aware of, hey, maybe we don't immediately put a dog who might have serious PTSD in the hands of a child. That might not be great.
That might be problems.
I mean, I also feel like in his spy training, though, that Twilight would have to take some psychology exams. I mean, he's literally, and we'll talk about this later, is a honey trap. That is his job.
Yes, he is a very attractive man who knows human psychology very, very well. That is his expertise, and also literally anything he tries for 5 minutes then also becomes his expertise.
Because he's a spy movie spy.
Tennis, dear listeners.
That's why he gets so upset with Anya. He's just like, if I try and study anything for 5 minutes, I'm instantly an expert at it. Why are you so inadequate?
Aw.
I want a tiny child, ideally one that can already read and write.
Well, you know. But anyway, we need a name for this dog. What's the dog's name? Dog!
Genius.
No.
His name is Doug. Woof woof.
Dog, woof woof.
I will admit, I was partial to Peanut. I would have been delighted if the name that was ultimately picked was Peanut.
Yeah. Also, randomly, I don't know if it was just me, but like I also grew up with a lot of friends and family friends who they got around this whole naming fiasco. They would name their dog Dog, like spelled out like that. That's its name.
I mean,
Dog.
I mean, my first cat was named Meow. So.
That could work. I'm just saying.
Well, regardless, Anya needs to have a good name for her dog because she's also on board with Operation Strix, and despite the fact she kind of wanted a dog, she mostly wanted a dog because Damien.
Of course his name is Damien. He's like that evil devil child.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it'd be more creative than the obvious, but Damien wants to he has a dog that he really likes, and he has a cool name for his dog. And I love the scene where she's like, I've got a dog, and his two little lackeys start making fun of her, and he's just like, you've got a dog? Oh, what's your dog's name? And Anya just goes, Dog. And he's like, you really shouldn't own animals. And then walks away.
You are unfit to own a pet.
Damien, like, to his credit, he tried. He's like, an actual point of commonality between us. I don't want to have a mortal enemy, I guess. So let's see if I can go somewhere. No, okay, she's just stupid. Okay.
Got it.
Moving on.
Turns on heel.
Damien doesn't want to have a mortal enemy, but also Damien's struggling with some internal feelings, if we remember last reading.
Oh, yeah.
He's got
that was pretty spicy.
He's got the doki doki.
Yes.
He's got the doki dokis. What is this beating in my chest?
It is subdued in this reading section, but it's still definitely there.
Yeah.
Yes. Another thing that randomly popped in my head, it's really interesting how Anya seems to struggle with creativity. This girl is very much immersed in her own creativity and the way she imagines her reality.
That tracks with Anya, though, because she doesn't really think for herself is the problem. Because she can just read people's minds, she doesn't need her own thoughts. Like, she watches cartoons all the time, and she just learns everything from them. And, like, she just says what other people are thinking.
Yeah, that's why I get really excited when Anya shows an effort to train herself, because she would be completely invincible if she just cultivated her mind with her powers.
Well, not completely.
I'm rooting for you, Anya.
Yeah, we'll learn more about that coming up later. But in an attempt to inspire
creativity, we creativity, go to the park. Dog park.
And Anya's just running around going, dog park. And Big Dog is just sitting there. She's like, it's a dog park, not an Anya park. Come run.
You're supposed to be the one having fun.
Seems to try and play fetch to no avail as she has to go get her shoe.
I love that panel. She's like, we're going to play fetch. Go get it. And the little panel is just like, her shoe.
She has to hop back to go get her other shoe.
Well, I mean, can we honestly consider the fact that maybe this dog has not been trained to fetch, or any other dog typical dog pet tasks that other dogs would have been exposed to.
Yeah.
So he's like literally
also-
like, why'd you throw your shoe? What the hell is going on?
He's also probably old. He's probably an older dog, on all honesty, it looks like, especially if they were trained from the war. So, like, he's probably also at the point where he's like, that seems like effort. I don't know. This seems beneath me.
Wait a second, he's probably around Anya's age. That kind of helps the it was all the same lab theory, doesn't it?
Are you saying that the dog is also Sylvia's son?
Yes.
No.
They're siblings now.
No.
Anyway, what actually happens is Anya drops her gloves and a scary-looking pit bull grabs them and does not want to give them back. So big floofy cloud dog goes over and is like 3 times this pit bull's size.
It's just like, these belong to my tiny human. You will give them here. Just looming, very lorg.
He returns the gloves to Anya. She decides on the name she wants to give him.
Mm-hmm. Because this is very reminiscent of a scene in her favorite cartoon. So, in honor of Bondman, the dog is named Bond. And given a very spiffy little bow tie collar.
Can we just point out that as far as like creative names go, Bond is no more creative than Peanut because she just named it after the other thing she likes.
Yeah.
She is tiny child. I think it's cute.
It is. When they're like trying to come up with a name for the dog, Twilight, of course, immediately launches into, so I read the files on this, and dogs like plosive noises, and like he launches into this whole linguistics thing, and Yor, mishearing him, says, dogs like explosives? And she has a little daydream of, I'm going to kill this target. What should I use? Knives? Guns? C4? You always say C4. and she's consulting Bond.
It's like, hold on, Gord. Don't go all son on Sam on me. Like, stop letting dogs tell you to murder people.
As if she needs the encouragement.
I think you should kill everyone, Yor. They're all making fun of you.
They're traitors to the country, Yor. You'd get lots of money for your family.
Why do we sound more and more like Goofy as we're doing these voices?
Yeah, let's talk about Yor instead. Let's talk about Yor instead. She is precious in this next bit.
Oh my god, I love this. I love this so much. We get another one of those bits of it's like, is the facade going to be torn away? Yoris coming home late at night, tired and with cuts on her hands. Can this be? Is Twilight finally going to figure out that she's an assassin? No, Yoris learning to cook.
And it is a physically painful experience for all parties involved.
Oh yes,
I love the little bit
seems to be a running trend.
Yeah, I love the bit with Twilight on the couch, and as Yor's coming through the door, he's just like, she sure is getting home late. You know, if I were playing this part right, the wife coming home this late with no explanation would be suspicious. But I'm a spy, so probably digging too deep into her personal life probably isn't a good idea. That's as far as he goes with it.
I'm just saying, even if you are a spy, you still should be like, what if she's going to break the entire family unit apart with this extramarital affair going on, which would blow both of your covers.
Well,
so I'm just like...
There's actually something very specific that results in him not pursuing it, because the thing he thinks is, we both agreed to a fake marriage. If she's seeing someone on the side, then I shouldn't get in the way of that because... You know, again, from Lloyd's perspective, they're not really a couple.
But the concern is we live in a time where literally catty housewives turn in other housewives.
Get dragged away by the secret police.
For stupid reasons all the time. So, I mean, if she does maintain an extramarital relationship, all it takes is like, wait, you're not doing anything to break this up. Is your entire marriage a sham? Am I going to have to report you? What's wrong with you? You're not acting like a normal husband. What's going on? So, I mean, it goes back to this is the situation in which they're operating in, whether or not, you know, he doesn't see any problem with it. You know, she has her own life. This is a fake marriage, whatever. And I mean,
like, to some extent, one of the things I like about that, though, because like that is a legitimate concern, and like not to defend Twilight and saying he's being smart about this, but one thing I kind of like is, in a sense, that he is showing concern for Yor's personal feelings. That isn't a spy thing to do. He should want to know everything, but he cares about her. He likes her as a person, and he wants to, respect her happiness. He's showing that he does care about Yor all the same. He wants her to be happy, and he's not thinking entirely clearly, which is a very subtle moment of, bringing them that much closer together.
Getting back to the plot, though, one of my favorite bit when it's like, is this more of the murdering business that Yor's in? Is she's out one night, she goes to a store, she
wait, so are you
store.
saying that he is caught on with the exact nature of her job?
I'm saying that's what the comic wants us to think. So Yor's walking down the street. She's got a paper bag and it's leaking something dark red. And she goes to a house and it's her bitchy coworker. And it's like, you're here. I suppose it's time. You idiot! You crushed the tomatoes!
And then you get the adorable shock face of Yor that we get a lot over the course of this reading section that I love.
Yeah, Yor's learning how to cook, so she doesn't murder her husband and child every time she does.
She is literally doing that. Like, what spurred this on was she was concerned about the fact that the last time she made breakfast for everybody, Lloyd was in the bathroom for 6 hours. It's a plot point.
That's what I was talking about. This one-off gag becomes a plot point that drives character development. It's so good.
My favorite part is after we've got this established, every time we see Yor cooking, there's always at least a side scene at the very least of Twilight specifically avoiding eating the food, which Anya also does.
They do a whole cooking montage. There's all the classics of why is that fish skeleton in the soup? My personal favorite is, why is there so much blood on these potatoes?
I don't know how to properly wield this weapon. What do you mean, weapon?
It's a potato peeler, Yor! What is wrong with you?
Oh no, don't worry. I'm much better with a knife. You're shaving that meat to hair thick. You're destroying the cutting board.
My favorite part is the co-worker's boyfriend, or he's the boyfriend, right? Because there's a whole big thing about Yor got married before her.
Yeah,
he is the boyfriend.
I thought they broke up earlier on, so it might be ex-boyfriend, or they may have gotten back together. But it doesn't matter.
Up after he realized how crazy she is. She's still crazy.
They got back together,
by the way.
Yeah, they probably got back together.
Oh god.
My favorite part is because this is the second or third time she's helped her cook. He comes back and he's just like, I don't want to help you again. I don't know how we're going to taste what you make. And the boyfriend's just like, oh, no, don't worry. I found a guinea pig. What? And then Yuri comes to the door.
My beloved sister!
And Yuri's whole entire section is whenever Yor gives Anya made, he
Stockholmed himself into loving the taste of food poisoning.
My fave down food. And he's like, oh, it's so delicious. Childhood memories, the nostalgia. I'm breaking out in a cold sweat thinking about it. I can almost see Mother. She's beckoning me into the light.
I love that joke. That slayed me.
And the boyfriend's like, Yuri, put down that food. That's not a good meatball.
Flashbacks.
It's too spicy.
And then we realized we were lucky that Yuri made it to adulthood.
Yeah, the flashbacks of his childhood, of him just as a kid vomiting up the food his sisters made for him.
I'm just saying, was he able to get any other food from anywhere else? Because he might have starved.
Well, what Yor said is her whole thing was, well, he's a growing boy, so I maximized the amount of nutrients he was getting. So I think what happened was the tiny amount he could keep down was probably a day's worth of nutrients, because what she was probably doing was putting way too much in.
I forget if it's the boyfriend or the coworker, but one of them is even mentions outright, we're lucky that you survived this long. Something to that effect.
I wish I could remember her coworker's name, because I do feel bad just calling her the coworker, but that is who she is.
That is who she is. Yeah,
that is her whole gag.
I did not expect her to get this like mini redemption arc. I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing her again. But
she's still catty and rude, but she's not trying to murder Yor with mac and cheese anymore.
Yeah, she's not actively malicious. It's one of those ones where if this wasn't a comedy series, I would not be okay with how okay everyone else is with her. But
well, here's the thing. Yor is the one who's just like, we're friends, right? And the coworker's like, I don't know why you would think that, but Yor seems to genuinely think they're friends.
Look, I adore Yor. She has her moments, though. Sometimes she's not the brightest knight in the crayon box.
I'm just saying, when your night job is people actively trying to kill you, maybe your scale of what constitutes not liking you probably shifts a little.
Yeah, co-worker is like, there has to be something. You two were fed by your mother before she died, right? It's like, yeah. Can you remember anything she made, please? Oh yeah, there was this stew we really liked. And they kind of, put their heads together as much as these two can and work out how to recreate this stew. And it's good. It's delicious. It doesn't kill people.
She's able to make it correctly, and it's not poisonous. There's even a fun little bit. This is really close, but it's a little bit off. And the coworker is like, "You grew up further east from here, right? Well, let's put in a little bit of sour cream." And it's like, "Yes, that's it. That's perfect." Like she knows like the local cuisine of different areas. Yor takes this recipe home and.
I'm cooking dinner tonight. Oh God, please don't.
The terror on the faces of Lloyd and Anya. They have it, and it's great, and everything's fine. And then Yor suggests a Yor original recipe dessert, and then that's how you get the punchline at the end.
Yep.
They thought she learned how to cook, but no, she learned how to make one recipe.
See, I will admit, I thought this gag was going to go a bit differently, and it's like that's the only thing that she can make, so she makes it all the time, and it wears to the point of being completely unimpressive. But no, they didn't do that. They just went with, no, this is literally the only thing she's got.
Something that's baffling to me is just the fact that obviously yours must be desensitized to her own cooking, because I'm just like, you should at least, sample when you're going along so that it doesn't turn into this much of a catastrophe every single time.
Well, you see, over many years and taking small doses, she's built up an immunity to Ida.
Well, I'm talking about like taste, like not just like food poisoning. I'm talking about like it also tastes really bad.
Jay, you're forgetting the special episode of our last section of reading where it's been established that all assassins are completely immune to all poisons, even an incredibly lethal dose snuck into their food. I don't think Yor can taste the difference between good and bad food.
Exactly. That has to be the case. And that is very concerning because food is delicious. It's meant to be enjoyed. My poor baby
really loves Lloyd's cooking. That was like one of the first things. She's like, "Oh, he can cook? Oh my."
Ooh, my.
She knows what good food is. She just can't tell the difference between mediocre food and, oh God, it's killing me.
We need to get back to more shenanigans at Eden Academy.
Yay.
We get another short little interlude of an arts and crafts class. And we get the ever classic there's only one teacher because everyone's always out sick for that episode.
Mm-hmm.
I only ever want to draw the headmaster.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Henderson's great. Elegance man.
That is not elegant.
But and in her continuing efforts to impress Damien with her dog in order to get invited to his house to help Operation Strix, Anya has brought a picture of the Forger family, now including Bond.
It's really, really cute.
It's really cute.
Starts off really cute.
It starts off really cute.
Well, the picture is cute.
Anya and Yor look like they're trying really hard to be impressive for the camera, and Twilight is just easy smiling. and Bond is dog. Anya's friend at school, Becky, picks up the photo because Anya dropped it like, oh, clumsy me.
Damien does not even notice her existence and just keeps walking.
Yeah. Becky grabs the photo, and she had been talking about, watching some, lovey-dovey sitcom on TV.
I think she's a soap opera addict.
Soap
Yeah,
opera.
it's
Soap opera. That's the one. So she picks up the photo, and she's like, "Whoa, is this your family, Anya? Is that your dad? Oh my God, your dad's hot!"
Proving how much of a bad influence Becky is.
So she steals the picture.
Yeah.
No, Anya gave this to me. I did not.
I really need that picture back. No. What's your dad look like, Anya? This is a really weird conversation. Please stop. As we were alluding to earlier, Mr. Henderson is there teaching their art class where they are having a sculpture project, which Damien immediately goes, "This is dumb. I'm not participating." And then his lackeys say, "Hey, I overheard a rumor that the board of executives is actually going to evaluate all the sculptures and give secret points on our secret permanent records." And he's like, "I think I will participate then."
Well, now I need to go super hard. Well, the conceit is that they're all separated into tables where they're given a certain amount of arts and crafts material, and they have to make paper models of animals.
Yeah, that conceit's kind of weird. They set it up and then it doesn't do anything because the main thing is they're just kids doing art projects together. So they make little animals. Anya makes a dog.
They all have these like grand visions in their head, and it ends up the way you expect child arts and crafts to. I was impressed by a lot of them.
I'm not impressed by Becky. Becky made a model of Anya's dad.
Well, that is very impressive, Miss Becky. You're supposed to make an image of an animal, but Headmaster Henderson, humans are animals.
It's technically correct. The best kind of correct.
He concedes to that logic.
So the main plot of this is essentially Anya makes a model of her dog. It's not very good because she makes it very quickly is also probably the problem. She's done within like the first minute of the assignment. And Damien,
one thing you may have noticed about Anya is that she has a bit of an attention span problem.
Yeah, just a little bit. And Damien, who is in her four-man group, we don't really get told what the other two are doing a lot. But their four-man group has to share the same art supplies. And Anya goes, "Well, I'm trying to get on his good side. I'll help him with his thing." And he's just like, "What animal are you doing, Damien?" "I'm making a griffin, for that is my family's crest. And if my father sees the griffin, he will think it is very impressive and be like, 'Oh yes, Damien, you are such a good son. I totally acknowledge your existence.'" "You okay, Damien?" "I didn't say that out loud." "Okay." They end up technically making a griffin together. Henderson is impressed that they are working as a team. Team is a weird definition because Anya is helping.
The closest we get to the arts and crafts supplies is limited thing is when Damien is displeased with Anya's help. He's like snatching like paper from other kids. "That is not very elegant." But like that's the closest we get to it.
And specifically anything. When he snaps at Anya, he's just like, "What are you doing? You're worthless at helping me." And Henderson's like, "Is that what a gentleman would say?" And he's like, "No, I guess she can help." What the culmination of this is frankly, Damien probably reached a little too far with his goal because his griffin comes out very shoddy, and Anya has a little baby griffin she made to help because it's not a baby. She made a girl griffin because there's a boy griffin, and
she turned her thing into
a girl griffin for Damien's thing. Anya does not seem to understand the logic of why she's doing that. She's just trying to do what she thinks. She's trying to do what Twilight does, but Twilight actually understands how people think. So Anya's doing something. Damien does not understand what she's doing. Becky from the other table over is like, "Ooh, juicy gossip." But she's not in this chapter, so it don't matter. And then they end up having to turn that in, to which the secret board of directors announces they have won first place because they read the most like artistic expression into this possible, which is that yes, you made a tattered griffin,
but yet it still stands proud, much like our own nation rising from the ashes of war. See how it stands over its
slain child.
this is not what you should be expecting from first grade. And I love the very scene at the end where
Henderson is looking at it.
just goes, so this is what passes for first place nowadays.
This is suffering a severe lack of elegance.
I think the joke here is not, they don't explicitly say this, but I think the joke here is that the board of directors was always going to give Damien first place.
Yeah.
That seems plausible.
They just decided to justify it as hard as they could. And then we get a little bit of character work for Damien.
Yeah, my favorite part, Damien makes the sad call home to his butler because his dad couldn't be bothered to pick up the phone.
It is a very stock backstory, but it's well executed, so I'm all about it.
It's a really like well executed phone call because he's essentially like, hey, I did really well. Is dad proud of me? Yes, young master, your father is very proud of me. Hey, you remember what I said happened on the first day of school? Has dad mentioned that all? Oh, you mean when the other child punched you? I totally told him about that. And
he's very concerned for your well-being. Yeah, I'm sure he is.
There's a little thought bubble of him like smiling like sadly. You're such a bad liar. Oh, it's really sad.
It does kind of hit.
And it kind of reveals like Damien's whole thing is I need to get all the stellar stars because my dad does not pay any attention to me. And he seems to think academic achievement would get attention. It's clearly not so far. So, which also unfortunately kind of puts Operation Strix in danger because don't think Anya going over to Damien's house would help at all.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah.
Also, is this when we get revealed that Damien has an older teenage brother?
We knew he had several older brothers. There's one who's relatively close to him in age, and I think there's one who's already like either in college or out of school, and that's the one who the father pays attention to.
Yeah, because I think Lloyd or Twilight was specifically referencing that Damien, because he was close in Anya's age and was in her grade, that would be the most valuable contact for her to infiltrate.
Oh no, Damien was always the target of Project Strix. Like they adopted Anya because they were aiming for Damien. But I'm kind of wondering if he has a teenage son that he probably pays more attention to, why not aim for that? I don't know. The fact that he has another brother in school is kind of weird to me.
Or the middle child, because he would probably be more on edge if, all of a sudden your older child made this new friend out of seemingly nowhere. And all of a sudden, you're being acquainted with this new guy. I think it'd be safer to actually become acquainted with the middle child. There'd be less suspicion that way.
I think the whole point is that this guy is incredibly reclusive.
So people don't know which son he favors, if any.
Exactly.
It's more funny for Anya to be small child and not know what's going on half the time. So that's also a factor in why this has happened.
The comedy of a spy mission hinging on your elementary school child being trained to covert ops is much funnier, yes.
We are coming up on the midpoint of the first year at Eden Academy, so it's time for the midterm exams. Ooh boy, this is gonna prove a problem for Anya, because if you fail in any of the categories of the exam, you get a Tonitrus Bowl. And if you pass, or if you're in the top 10 score, you get a stellar star. So,
top 2.
Oh, was it top 2? I thought it was top 10 as well, but I might have misread
only
that.
the top scoring and the second, the top 2.
Oh yeah, they do mention. Yep, they do mention that. I think the reason why I remembered that wrong is skipping ahead a little bit, but I know Damien gets in the top 10, so I think that's what that was.
Like he's in the top 10 overall, and he got top scoring on one of his exams,
which is how he got a star. Yeah,
this is a impressive moment for Damien that you feel bad because even though he did so well, the father is still not going to notice it. Moment, yeah.
It's during like not really a mock exam, but it's like there's some other exam that's going on, and Anya failed horribly at it, but Damien did well, and he decides to be a little snot and brag at her about it, and she's like, Aha, now I know exactly whose mind to read on the midterms. Miss Forger, is there an elegant reason why you are snickering? Stay after class for more study hall.
Aw.
And this does have the effect of Anya going home at nighttime when the moon is out, and she notices a bright full moon in the sky. Wait a minute.
Oh.
Wait a minute. When's the midterms? 2 weeks? Wait, what phase of the moon will be in 2 weeks? Papa, what will the moon be in 2 weeks? New moon. Why? Oh no! I can't read minds on the new moon!
Oh no, I'll actually have to be doing what I should have been doing this entire time.
See, Anya, this is why you need to cultivate your mind.
Cram school.
The people in the research facility called it eclipsing. It's when my powers randomly short out for 1 day each month. I've never mentioned it at this point because it was never a plot point.
She does basically say that to the reader in a fourth wall breaking moment. At one point, she does directly address us with, "Don't worry, gentle reader, I will continue Operation Strix for world peace."
With the midterms coming up, obviously Twilight is very concerned about this. It's a great opportunity, but 8 bolts and you're out. She already has 1, and it's 4 subjects that are being tested on. If you bomb the midterms and finals, you're gone.
Which, in all fairness, for a school, not a bad policy if you fail all your midterms and finals.
That does make sense.
Most inelegant.
So we need someone to tutor Anya.
Yep.
But Twilight's too busy. Yuri, you're up.
Brother.
You asked your brother. Maybe I should have gotten the lovey-dovey kid out just in case when he's on his way. I am here! He's here!
A side thing from a Twilight later. Maybe I should always have the lovey-dovey kid out. And I'm like, Twilight, saucy boy.
I don't know. I mean, when you have Yuri randomly bursting in like the Kool-Aid man every time she even whispers his name.
Yep.
I don't know.
And we have the great moment of Anya being able to read Yuri's mind, and it's just a continuous stream of all the things that are great about Yor and how much he wants to do things to make her happy.
Yes, things to make her happy. Oh yeah.
That joke a few times in the reading we've done where Anya tries to read someone's mind, but they're so self-deluded. They're thinking of something completely unrelated. It's like, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Though Anya in this case does actually use her powers quite well, because Yuri doesn't want to, at first he's like, Forger's kid, what is she doing spending so much time with my Yor? And
because remember, dear listeners, in the backstory of this, Anya is supposed to be Lloyd's biological daughter, and yours the stepmom.
And what Anya does is very clever, very Twilight-like. She starts sucking up to Mama. Oh, Mama is the best mama ever, and it's like, I guess I can help her. She does have good taste.
I suppose Lloyd's genetics can't be all bad if his kid can recognize how great my sister is. Yuri tries to tutor her. She gets everything right. She read it from his mind, and then she remembers she can't do that, so she starts getting everything wrong.
Well, specifically, Yuri gets suspicious, going like, you aced all the super hard questions I just gave you. Why are you wasting my time making me tutor you? Oh, I just guessed.
Complete fluke. Absolute guesses. Just luck. Okay.
I suppose that tracks. It really doesn't, but Yuri's not very bright.
Oh, there's also a great moment where Yuri is kind of beating himself up because in the whole terrorist plot thing that happened a few chapters ago, he learned that the Great Twilight was involved and right by him at one point, and he didn't even notice. And so Anya's like, Papa versus Uncle, this is so cool.
There's a really good connection scene between him and Anya where Anya's asking him about studying and stuff, and like, how did you study? And he goes like, well, I really, really, really love my sister. And every time I tried studying, I'd just be like, well, if I get really good at this one thing, I can help her out. And I did that for every single subject. And then Anya gets a half a step in her mind of like, oh, wait, no, you can develop other superpowers by studying like knowing things is cool. And then
Mhm.
she's like, but I'm psychic. That's really cool. And she's really bad.
I could take over the world? Maybe.
Yes, knowledge is power,
No.
kids. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. It gives you everything. It's the whole enchilada. It's a swole chihuahua? What?
Yes.
No.
Get that swole chihuahuas. Oh,
And
God,
anyway.
little image.
Yuri tries his hardest, but Anya's not good. And eventually he gets frustrated. And
So did you learn that grammar, kid? What's a grammar? This, I'm leaving.
We get a little.
But I just finished making the cookies. Kicks open door, grabs cookies, eats them all, goes outside. They're delicious.
We do also get a bit of an aside from your noting that Yuri does have a bad habit of giving up pretty quickly. Like, that's sort of the thing. Anya lets herself be dumb. She's not actually dumb. She is capable. She's proven that a couple of times in different situations. But you have to have a lot of patience because it's Anya. And Yuri does not have that.
Despite how frustrated Yuri got with her, Anya was legitimately inspired. And so she decided she's going to go study on her own. And she worked her little heart out and she fell asleep. She was studying so hard. And Twilight
She
comes...
tried very, very hard.
Very, very hard. Lloyd comes home. And Yuri's like, oh, she's been doing so good. She's been learning so much. Look, this is the book she was working on. Foreign languages, huh? Wait, this isn't one of the subjects that's being tested on. Oh, we're doomed.
But don't worry, when it's time for the test, Anya has her swole chihuahua.
I'm going to blow everyone away with my swole chihuahua. Becky, Anya, what are you talking about?
Anya's been trying hard. She has been motivated by Yuri. She's been studying on her own. No one has a lot of faith in her, which is not an unfair assumption to make at this point.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where you want to believe in Anya, but given past experiences.
Well, because one of the little tidbits is she gets so inspired. She tells Bond she's going to work so hard and study so much, and then proceeds to fall asleep on Bond in front of the cartoons. And Lloyd's just like, did you study at all? And then he and George are like, she does look really cute. Dang it, I guess we're giving her the day off.
The thing I really like about that is this is such a kid thing because she did have her study book with her. Like, she meant to, but she's a little kid who has no motivation. Like, of course she fell asleep in front of the TV.
Anya takes her exam, and she seems to think she's done well. She's happy. Lloyd has no faith in her as we cut to him planning to break into the secure bank vault test results are stored in.
It's so good.
Yeah, that tracks.
As soon as I saw that bank vault, that's how the chapter opens. It's going to put the tests in the vault, and I'm like, Twilight's breaking into that thing, ain't he? And that is true. The how gets a little out there.
Because we are introduced to a secondary spy by the name of Agent Daybreak.
And this is just a funny anecdote. As I was reading this, I'm like, why is he named Daybreak? Like, that's another time of day thing. Is like Twilight's named Twilight. Is that some sort
they're
of
the exact opposite?
I'm like, is that a spy thing? And he's like, I gave myself this code name because I heard that the great spy Twilight was in the country and I'm going to defeat him. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, buddy.
So it's not a spy culture thing, it's this guy's an idiot thing.
Yes, very
As a
much
Twilight
so.
fanboy.
And then another character gets introduced later and it is a spy culture thing. Whatever.
No, that other person is also a Twilight fanboy.
She's also a Twilight fan, yes.
Right now, currently, we're dealing with Daybreak, and one of his master spy moves is to hold himself horizontal to a signpost as one of the signs as people are passing by.
Which works.
I was so confused.
Twilight's just watching this like, this guy's an idiot. He's gonna get me caught too. He's so bad. And it's like, wait, that actually worked?
Why did that work?
This guy is straight up incompetent in everything else he does. But for some reason, this like horizontal bar holding works perfectly.
Mhm.
Like I thought they were gonna make his gimmick that he's so incompetent, like he just lucks into things. But no, because Twilight has to save him before like someone, because he gets in and. But yeah, like he breaks the window rather than picking the lock, so Twilight has to put down a soccer ball to make it look like the soccer club accidentally broke a window. He just goes up to the guard and is just like, "Oh, there's a guard here. I don't have an ID. Can you just let me in anyway?"
No.
I obviously can't do that. I'm that guy.
From the information services. I'm famous, you know? Come on, let me in. And Twilight's like, oh, thank God I actually have a whole bunch of fake IDs. Oh, hey, you dropped this, didn't you? I sure did. Thanks, buddy.
No. At first he's like, wait, no, I didn't drop that. What are you talking about?
You dropped this, right?
Oh, yeah, I totally dropped it.
Long-suffering Twilight.
I guess I'll let you two in. And then he goes up to the thing. I don't know that key card. And then Twilight's like, I'll just punch in the key card. And the other guy's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go take a leak. And Twilight's just like,
no,
we're in a bank vault. There are no bathrooms in here.
My favorite bit is Daybreak has the details of his mission written on the palm of his hand. Twilight notices as he is handing over the ID, like, this fucking guy.
Oh my God, that's right. And he looks at his hand because he tries the code to punch into the keypad first, but his hand has been smudged, so he doesn't know what the code is.
Yeah,
he gets the code wrong. He's not even hiding the thing on his hand, because when it's wrong, he's like, but I wrote it down, and looks at his mission profile written on his hand next to a person who can see him doing that.
So anyway, Daybreak says he's gonna go take a leak. Twilight just like, the guy an idiot. Okay, I'm just gonna unlock it, and then proceeds to get we see the bank vault open. Twilight's there in his professor disguise, and Daybreak just pops out like, hey, I'm gonna knock you unconscious now, and knocks him out. Twilight then is knocked out.
The thing that gets revealed, because he mentions later, when he got hit, he played possum, because he definitely could have won that fight, but if he did, it would have drawn so much attention that he wouldn't have been able to do anything.
Even this guy's attacks are sloppy.
Oh man, they lock the boxes in the vault too? Jeez, guess I'll just have to break this open.
He's on the same mission Twilight is. He's here to alter some test scores. Twilight's here to make sure that Anya doesn't fail. This guy is here to make sure that the Desmond brothers do.
This guy is obviously loudly narrating what he's doing because he's an idiot, and he says, oh good, I found the Desmond brothers. And Twilight is like, are they not good students? Is someone fixing their grades too? But when the guy leaves, he sees that it's actually, like, he's able to see what got erased.
In all fairness, the guy doesn't leave on his own volition because he wants to. What happens is he narrates, oh man, no one's gonna know I did this really cool spy mission. I know, I'll sign forged by Daybreak on it. Here, and Twilight's just like, please don't.
Yeah. Twilight jumps up like, why would you do that, you idiot? Oh, I've totally broken my cover. Please don't kill me. I won't say anything to anybody. You can just leave.
I want you to tell everybody that I did this. Daybreak, the world's best spy.
Even better than Twilight. I espionaged the crap out of this building.
Direct quote. Go ahead and embellish it.
He combat rolls away like he's a Dark Souls character. Oh, I love it so much.
That's when Twilight finds that they've been changed to the wrong answers. He switches it all back because he's able to see indents in the page, what had been erased, and
which means that Daybreak did a really crappy job of not making this look like a forgery.
Sounds right.
Yeah, that tracks.
So Twilight saves the Desmond brothers from sabotage, and he goes to correct Anya's, and he's like, wait a minute, this. Cut to next day at school. Everyone's going to look at their test scores posted up on the quad. Damien did very well. He's like 11th overall, I think, and he got top on a subject, so that's a stellar star for him. And Anya's like, I don't even need to look where I am, because I know I'm like 212. Papa went and broke in and found it for me. And you know what 212th is? Not failing.
She's so proud.
I really like how the manga sets up this scene to kind of lead you to believe, oh man, did she also get like top marks on a test? Nope, she barely scraped by, but that was enough for Twilight to be proud of her.
That was enough for Operation Strix to continue limping along like the broken-legged bird it is.
I will say, I did kind of see coming the twist that it's like Anya did better than anyone expected.
Just not the fullness of it.
I wasn't sure if they were going to do the she actually did really well because she tried that hard, or let's be realistic, it's Anya, she's not going to turn around completely overnight. Because the other thing I appreciated, especially about last time, is that like when she got her first stellar star, like that was a really big character growth moment for her. It was a big deal. And then she proceeded to be a little goblin about it because she's a tiny child that's not particularly mature. And I really like that because it's very realistic.
Because she is a little goblin.
I was happy that it was a she passed barely, and that's good enough.
Hey, it's her first attempt on her own, so I mean, it really says something.
Like Lloyd does a very good, like stern father moment of he's obviously very proud of her. You need to do better next time, Anya. But he's obviously very noticeably proud of her, which such a wonderful.
He's
family
internally proud of her, but then that immediately falls apart when he sees his daughter is celebrating, getting 1 point above failing. Is like, that's not
okay.
Fail, but that's not a celebration. You have done literally the bare minimum.
Yeah. Now let's see how much you're celebrating after this study session. Aww.
You're not
such a great family
punished.
moment.
That's what the celebration is.
Yeah. And avoiding consequences is the minimum we expect. But yeah, then we go to another chapter. I personally, I didn't like this one very much. I don't know what the general consensus is on it.
The punchline was very obvious.
The punchline was obvious, and it was one of those cringe comedy moments, where you're supposed to laugh because someone did something embarrassing and stupid.
Yeah, I liked it just fine, but I think it kind of overstayed the joke. Essentially what we have, it's an entire tertiary character too, is another reason why it's kind of, it's George Glooman. We open with his father getting told that the Desmond Group has taken over their company, and I will no longer be president anymore. I don't know how to tell my son this. So
we cut to small man overhearing this.
And we get revealed over the course of this that the person who hired Daybreak to sabotage Desmond's kids' test scores is George Glooman, because my father's company is going out of business and we're going to be poor. And then he tries to start a fight with him and get him in trouble. And Anya's just like, no, I am a pure and perfect being. I know that Damien could have never done any wrong, because she's still trying to earn points with her and does her like holier than thou Anya face, which is always fun. And like the entire joke is then just everyone feels sorry for this kid, and he's just like,
because he gives tragic backstory,
and he like is weaponizing a tragic backstory, like, I'm gonna be thrown out in the poorhouse, and I did want to know what the caviar lunch tasted like. The super expensive caviar lunch? Yes, just one day. I'll be poor next week, so I should really have. And then, like, the entire joke is obviously he keeps getting more and more elaborate with the things he wants. And then it's revealed he misunderstood. The Desmond Group just bought out the company, and the dad is still employed. That was never in question. He's just like, yeah, I'm not president.
If anything, they'll be wealthier. It was actually helpful to them.
We learned this because Anya recounts the story to her parents, and Yor's like, oh, what a sweet story. And Lloyd is like, yeah, it is sweet that you kids all came together to make him feel better, but
why would he be out of a job?
There's one thing I don't understand. How does being bought out equate to bankruptcy?
When you're bought out, you receive a large amount of money. Like,
he's just honestly confused.
I agree that, like, because the punchline's obvious and they're introducing an entire new character who's probably never going to come up again, it overstays its welcome a little bit. The thing I liked about it, and the reason why it worked for me, in spite of it being a little bit belabored for what we got for it, is I kind of like that, like, at first he wasn't trying to guilt people. He was actually just that desperate. And then he realized he could guilt people, so he starts guilting people. But then after a while, he's not guilting people anymore. Everyone is just being genuinely nice to him. And he's legitimately touched by the end of it. And everyone has this, like, school pride moment where they're helping out this new friend that they made. And it's so sad they're not going to see him again tomorrow. And then he's in tomorrow. And
I love the page of him going back to school the next day, because it's just the level of, like, I'm just gonna pretend this didn't happen, and it's people calmly coming up to him. You're paying me back for that lunch. You better give back all those gifts we gave you. And then Anya just like tap on the shoulder. And also my other favorite joke is when George Glooman first appears. Anya just goes, I have no idea who that guy is. And Becky's just like, he's our classmate. He's been here the whole time. Because, like, he definitely hasn't.
My favorite bit in this is we do find out that George is the one who hired Daybreak. And if you're wondering why Daybreak is such a handy spy, it's because we learned that George went up to his butler and said, hire the best spy you can on 3 months of my allowance.
Which, like, the fact that that's enough to hire a spy shows how rich the kid is, but at the same time,
it's 3 months of a rich kid allowance.
Yeah,
enough to hire Daybreak, not a spy.
yeah, basically. I wonder if we'll see Daybreak again. I'm not sure. He might be a one-off character. I'd be happy about seeing him again.
I'd be happy to see him again. He was pretty fun.
To see him again. It'd be interesting to kind of build up this whole spy network going on. That there's all types of spies from all different types of agencies with all different types of contracts going around. Maybe everyone's a spy in this universe.
That would explain a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of, like, non sequiturs, the next bit we get is a chapter where Anya has been assigned. Essentially, it's like it's phrased initially as like do a report on an occupation that interests you, but basically everyone essentially comes down to it's a thing because you're supposed to interview someone you know, and
so it's almost always a parent.
It's career day kind of thing.
It's take your daughter to work day is what it eventually becomes.
But all these people don't have your typical 9-to-5 jobs. They're all social elites. So yeah.
Yes, you're right. Actually, I think the implication is there is definitely a bunch of people who are elites whose parents don't have jobs. They would get someone who works for the company they own or something. So that's probably why. But essentially, Anya initially thinks she's gonna go to Yor for her job, and there is an amazing, just like 3-page, like
yes, this is a horrible idea. Let's see.
Daydream Yor is having. Do I take Anya with assassination job? And there's an amazing 3 panels at the end of this where because Yor is basically walking Anya through her job in this little fantasy she's having, and it's just like, now remember, when you killed someone, they're still a human being, so you should give them all of the honor and thank them.
Make it a quick death.
Yeah, and then there's a 3-panel spread of Anya getting splattered with blood that I could not stop laughing at.
She's getting sprayed with blood as Yor off panel is like, so if you just beep in their beep, or you could stab them through the heart or the certain parts of the brain is a really quick way to just end somebody.
a bunch of it gets censored.
We'll tell Lloyd it's tomato juice.
We were going to tell Lloyd we went to a tomato festival. That's right. But obviously, take your daughter to work day. You got to wear the uniform.
Yeah.
God. But I mean, it's just so funny how at no point has Yor ever brought up that she's a transcriptionist or a secretary at City Hall, correct?
Yeah, she does clerical work.
Yeah.
At the end, well, she does say at the end when she decides that that's a bad idea, which good decision, Yor. Don't do that.
Yor technically doesn't decide it's a bad idea before Anya, who's been reading her mind for this daydream, goes, I think I'm going to go to Dad's job. And then Yor's like, that's probably for the best. Yeah, my job's kind of boring. It's
so good.
Way through after the daydream, she realizes, oh no, wait, Anya probably thinks I'm going to my day job. Yeah, that's obviously what. Yep.
I love yours incredibly elaborate daydreams.
In all honesty, the your daydream is probably a little better than the rest of the chapter.
Yeah,
because
this is basically just establishing, hey, Lloyd has cover story coworkers. This will be a thing next chapter.
We get established. I love that this became a plot point because I remember telling Jay as I was reading this, I'm just like, man, are they really just establishing that Lloyd is a hot doctor with a bunch of nurses? Because that's what a large portion of this is.
It is. He's Dr. McHot stuff.
No, he's McDreamy.
Yep.
Yeah.
McDreamy and McSteamy. Some of you will get that reference.
Now, psychiatrists don't normally wear lab coats, but I think it looks more professional, as he's just got drip like a leaky faucet.
Sends some envy from Sam.
Yes, Twilight is incredibly attractive. I wish I had that drip.
Hey, for all you know, our listeners out there, Sam does have that drip. Hit him up.
Yeah. No, my favorite part is Anya, just as she's being introduced to all the nurses who are saying, oh, you're so cute. I love your little detective outfit, because she wore a detective outfit, because of course she did. And
it's an investigation.
Twilight. Yep. And Anya just turns to Twilight and goes, your work is a paradise.
Because she's getting candy from everybody.
Yeah, but I just loved how that line is after the panel of, Lloyd, you work with a bunch of attractive nurses. Yeah, Anya. Yep.
And all of them think that Anya is adorable Beeb.
Which she is.
Yep. And so essentially what this entire chapter ends up being is Anya runs around a hospital doing investigations that she's not supposed to. Lloyd has a secret passage for spy stuff in his office.
Which Anya immediately finds.
Yeah, and like he can't really do anything with her because what he says is like, well, he says you can't listen to me talk to a patient because that would
breach confidentiality.
Which I think is a lie, because he also says at one point, I don't have time for talking to patients directly because I'm doing so much research. And his research is obviously a cover for his spying. So like, I don't think he does anything in his job is the thing, which makes sense because it's a cover story. But like, he leaves Anya with a diagnostic sand tool.
I think he does do some stuff because like not everyone at that hospital is a plant. Other people will like talk to him about like the good work he does. So I think he does enough to make it look like that's his like actual day job.
He does the Dr. House level of, I am doing the bare minimum number of patients I have to do to be a main character.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, he also has to be really good at reading people. And like I said, he probably has some background in
psychology.
Yeah.
Which makes that a good cover story, in all honesty.
Yes.
Like you know, comedy series aside, that is actually quite clever.
Yep.
Yeah. Essentially, what the main gist of this is, we kind of just gonna skip to the end of this because the main plot is Anya goes through the ceiling ducts to spy on people, and they're having a meeting about whether or not they think ghosts are real. And it doesn't. It's funny, but it doesn't really go anywhere. Like
Anya flailing around in the ducts makes them think that there are ghosts. And so she scrambles back to Lloyd's office and she hears him coming and she's like, oh, he left me to play with these dolls in the sand. I didn't do anything with this. I got to do something. And so she just throws a whole bunch of stuff together and he's like, yeah, looking at this can actually give you great insight into a person's subconscious. Like inside your mind is utter chaos.
Tracks. That sounds about right.
This whole thing about like, oh no, you're right. She has been adopted and thrust into the situation. I was not accounting for, she might be having some post-traumatic stress, and goes on this whole like inner monologue. He then doesn't address as he just brings her home to Yor and they like have a nice family time.
So yeah, like, obviously her mom's going to fix her.
My favorite part of this is the scene where she's giving her report and she goes, my dad is a psychiatrist.
Yep.
Psychiatrist.
He's a feelings doctor.
Yeah.
And, you know, she does a pretty good job of explaining it as Lloyd described it. And Mr. Henderson is very impressed. And I hear that sometimes he punches and kicks his patients because you're mentioned the concussive therapy.
Yep.
From the meet cute.
My favorite part is there's a very small panel where it explains that Twilight was called into the office to have a serious conversation with the teachers. But because he's an excellent manipulator of people, he talks his way out of it. So anyway, let's open up on the final arc, the tennis arc, which when I looked up the arcs for a Spy Family, I did not expect this to be a Lloyd one. I thought this was going to be a different family member, but I was really happy with this because holy crap.
This is so good. I love the tennis arc. But we are introduced to Fiona Frost because nobody's name in this is anything approaching subtle. And that is merely her cover name because she is the super spy, Nightfall.
Love Nightfall so much.
Nightfall is pretty funny. She believes that she should have been part of the mission on Operation Strix in order to serve as the wife figure in this fake family. Unfortunately, she wasn't available at the time.
They do so much to frame it as the person playing the wife role was also a spy, then it would make the operation so much easier.
But it's true though.
It is also true.
The wife was a spy. It would have been so much easier. And like that's my reaction when I noticed they had a young female operative. I'm like, you told me all your young female operatives were dead. That's why you didn't have someone, but I guess she's always been here. Cool. Because that was a plot point.
They did make that distinction early on that they had no other young female operatives. In fact, his handler said that if she were available, she would pose as the wife.
If I remember right, I think it was that a lot of the young female operatives were killed, and so they had a dearth of them, and so they didn't have any availability.
I mean, this is a comedy series. They do the bare minimum to justify this and not being an overt continuity error is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and Nightfall's like, I was busy with another mission.
Yeah, the continuity error is so they can have their Three's Company situation. Like, that's completely understandable because she's a very serious spy that just thinks she... we get some sideline conversation about how she is very ruthless and moving up. Her cover story is she is a nurse.
And she's using this as pretense for coming over to the Forger place so she can return Anya's little lost magnifying glass from that totally plot relevant setup chapter.
So she can confront Yor directly. She is like 3 sentences into her conversation before she goes, you know, your husband complains about you all the time at the job, and then gets interrupted by Twilight coming in the door. Like, Nightfall.
Yeah, no, it looked like it was going to start raining up. Fiona, what are you doing here? And once again, proof that they are exalts. While they are having a conversation, a very banal conversation about grocery shopping, they are, in fact, mouthing an entire other spy conversation at each other.
And only Anya is following it because she's reading their minds.
So just subtle speech method in full effect.
It really is.
Manga logic right there is like, your lips can say a completely different thing than what you're speaking, and no one was going to think that's weird as they watch you talk.
Yeah. And so it's like, while they're discussing the price of onions or something, the whole subtle speech method is them being like, I've come to assess this mission. What do you mean assess? Are you here to cause problems for me? We need Operation Strix to go perfectly, and I'm not willing to let anything get in the way of that. And all this is happening, and it looks like it's just this really ambitious spy coming to steal this mission from Twilight so she can get all the glory.
Intense.
And that...
Yeah, like
it's really intense.
It's a thing, and Anya's just there going like, this lady's a spy? Oh, an enemy spy. Daddy's really mad at her. And then I'll read her mind. And then we just get a solid black image of her staring there with, I love you. And Anya's like,
wide-eyed stare, rubs her eyes, looks up with the wide-eyed stare again. And
that takes up an entire page of Anya reacting to this, and then we get the exact same picture of Nightfall on 2 separate pages so she can say, I love you, Twilight. And it's just like, oh my god.
With added hearts.
Just so it's not clear, she has a mega super duper crush on Twilight.
She's
And
here to
all
ruin
of
the
her-
OTP, and that's why she's not my favorite character. But she is delightful.
All of her internal thoughts are along the line, I love you so much, Twilight. Your person is not worthy of your love. I wish I could be your fake wife. And then Anya is just sitting there going, I have no idea how to process this.
I mean, I don't. I don't know how to process it.
And then Twilight's getting his internal thoughts of like, oh man, she's really mad. I wonder if she's trying to usurp the mission. I really should keep her on my good side, but also it's going to be really... So Twilight's just trying to handle the situation and is thinking like, yes, how she's being weird is like she being like a really good agent. And meanwhile, we get her thoughts, and her thoughts are just, I love you so much. We are going to honeymoon in the south of France. And it's just like...
My favorite bit, Anya does some random clumsy thing. Nightfall is like, what a klutzy child. If she had been trained by me, she would have been able to grab that cup before it fell over. In fact, when I supplant Yor as the wife in this dynamic, then I'm going to make her into a super agent in mere months.
A stellar star procurement machine.
And Anya's like, oh no, this lady's too hardcore. I can't let this happen.
She's in a drill instructor uniform whipping her.
Oh boy.
And so Anya runs over to Yor, leaps in her lap, and is like, Mama, I love you so much. I hope you never go away. You're the best.
It's so cute. I love it. Because, the best part is Anya means that, too. Like, she's saying it for a reason, but she means it, too. Oh, it's so cute.
So more of this shenaniganery goes on for a while.
Yeah, Nightfall is trying really hard to make Yor doubt herself, which, sadly, despite how awesome Yor is, she's susceptible to this sort of thing. But it just ends up being a really adorable family moment, including Twilight/Lloyd reassuring her. Because at this point, Yor is starting to realize my fake husband, who is specifically my fake husband, is spending time with attractive women at work. Oh no.
Who was starting to talk about how much he doesn't like me. Oh no. Twilight has the moment where he compliments Yor on her hard work and how she is a good wife, in fact. And he has, the smile, that damn smile. Honeypot smile. And Nightfall says, I recognize that plastered on smile. I've seen you use it in 1,000 missions, but I can see a flicker of true emotion behind it. I need to go. She storms out into the rain to cover the fact that she's crying.
To be maximum dramatic.
And Twilight's like, hey, you left without your umbrella. Also, Nightfall, now that we're away from my wife, I'm just going to say this. What the fuck was that?
Nothing.
Nothing. I forgot to mention Headquarters partnered me with you on this mission.
on the upcoming other mission.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Twilight, proving he is a terrible spy, goes, oh, that's really it? You could have just told me that. And she's going like, I'm glad the rain could cover my tears. And I'm like, Twilight, seriously, buddy?
You talk about how you're good at the honey trap. What is this?
Actually, I think that's established the very first time we see Twilight. He is not good with genuine emotion. He does not. I think he's willingly ignorant of it from people he's forced to interact with, because what he's been doing is every relationship he's been in, the second it gets serious, he ends it because he says it's because his job gets in the way, but I think there's also a very real detachment from him.
Oh yeah, he doesn't want it to be real because then it would be harder to do the same thing to other people. There is also the factor that I think it's worth noting. Nightfall was trained by Twilight, and for all of the personality quirks she's been displaying now that she's been properly introduced to us, she is a really good spy. So they ramp up the drama with the whole in the rain stuff, and it's that's dialed up to 30 for comedy. But one of the things that they establish really well is that she always has this completely unmoved deadpan look on her face, no matter what her actual emotions are. And she's legitimately very hard to read for even someone who's good at that.
It turns out the mission the two of them are going to be forced on is there is a underground doubles tennis tournament where their disguise is a married couple who are known as the Phonies. The fact their name is the Phonies
is pretty great. It's spelled with an F.
The fact that name manages to be more ridiculous than the concept of a gambling black market underground tennis tournament where there are no rules.
The only rule appears to be killing is discouraged, but they don't really enforce it.
Very much not elegant.
Just to illustrate how ridiculous this tennis tournament is, their first round is against these two guys who trained in the mountains for 3 years after they quit their professional tennis because they sought stronger opponents, and they've got scars on their face. And it gets crazier and weirder from there.
If all you ever wanted were panels of Twilight's butt in tennis shorts, man, is this the arc for you?
This is the service we all want of this fan service.
There is a lot of Twilight fan service in this arc. But as Jacob alluded to, the first match is against some retired tennis pros, where Twilight reveals that he trained for this by playing some family tennis with Anya and Yor. He did a little bit of training, and that little bit of training is enough to completely school these professionals who retired so they could make more money and fight stronger opponents in the underground circuit.
I love the Chekhov's gun here, because we know that Yor is supernaturally powerful. It kind of makes sense that even a little bit of training with her is some hyperbolic time chamber levels of exponential sudden power growth.
Here's the thing, I don't know if he actually played with Yor, because when we get later on, I don't think Yor was ever able to actually play.
Do anything. It's hard to say. They don't go into detail with that, but
yeah, it is hard to say, but we do see
the crowd is complaining that it's obviously fixed after
one of my favorite little speech bubbles from the crowd was when Twilight and Nightfall walk on to the field, someone jeers, "I'll give you $100 to break up with him." Good scumminess from these scumballs. But
People are betting their life savings against these two randos, and then they completely demolish. It's obviously rigged.
We have another brief game where they go up against some characters that look like they're straight out of Uzumaki.
Well, not initially. They look very scrawny, and then they take American drugs.
They take some sort of super steroid.
I was thinking Sweet Home, but
well, they swell up to look like Gauze and Nez, and the only reason I bring up Uzumaki is because they have weird spiraling patterns on their skin. What is this? Did you inject them with pure spiral energy?
Yes.
I'd buy that. Yeah,
I'd buy that. But they heckle Twilight a little bit, which means that Nightfall enters pure yandere mode and annihilates them, intentionally hitting them with every ball.
And Twilight's even you didn't have to hit them with every serve. He's not even particularly concerned about this. It's just a little bit too far.
I slept.
They show little things of people have the double-bladed lightsaber, but it's tennis rackets as an option that was given. People have when we get to this one, we have rocket-powered tennis rackets, and oh my god, it's insane.
Nightfall and Twilight crush the competition. They get to the finals with Camden's kids,
his teenage children, which if that doesn't clue you in on what might be going to be happening during this match, that his teenage children made it to the finals in the same thing where drugged up steroid beasts are able to participate.
Yeah. So it starts off with our two spies in a room that is slowly being filled with a nerve gas that is non-lethal, but it's meant to make them lose control of their bodies. They notice quickly enough that they are able to hold their breath for 10 minutes and hide in a locker.
They get up on top of the lockers so that they're like breathing the like tiny amount of air up there. They're waiting for 10 minutes because they can't break out or it's going to be obvious they're not normal people. It's a very unnoticeable nerve gas is like the point that they only notice because they're super spies.
Nightfall's been going so hard, she's blistering up her hand, and Twilight like grabs it to show her like, you need to calm down. I can't have you stumbling at the last hurdle because you went too hard on this mission. And she yanks her hand back, and she's like, oh, why'd I yank my hand away when he was touching me? I can still feel the warmth of his fingers on my twitching hand. Wait,
Senpai touched me!
Senpai touched me. Wait, why is my fingers twitching? Oh, that's not right.
I do also like one of the other things that is sort of illustrative of how I don't know what the word is for Nightfall, but Twilight's read of Nightfall's face is, does she really have that much contempt for my methods when the only thing in her head is wedding bells?
So they manage to abate the nerve gas, if not avoid it, and they go out into the field. And it's at this point where Kim and Carol reveal that they are further enhanced with a jet-powered tennis racket and an extendo whip tennis racket, looking like Ivy out of frickin' Soul Calibur here.
Can I just point out, I don't know how an extendo whip tennis racket is supposed to be useful.
How is that supposed to have any weight behind it to actually hit the ball?
Yeah, it would just get knocked out and then like...
Shut up, we're dropping the floor out underneath you because the field is 36 separately created tiles that can be raised and lowered. I guess we'll just have to jump to hit our shots so that we don't get unbalanced. We're gonna raise and lower the net about one ball length. Well, we'll have to adjust for that as well. We have people controlling the vents to create wind, and we'll just turn it into the wind. How are they getting through all our gimmicks?
Call in the snipers.
Call in the snipers. Twilight notices the shot being taken for Nightfall and leaps into... he Mr. President's her.
Yeah.
He tackles her to the ground, and my favorite bit is the audience screaming out, hey, now's not the time for that. You're in the middle of a match, lovebirds. And I'm like, oh.
Get a room! But Twilight's like, good thing it's a low-velocity rubber bullet, and I decided to wear my bulletproof vest under my shirt.
Oh, you're so smart, Twilight thinks Nightfall.
With all the jumping around, how is your shirt not ridden up enough to reveal that?
I mean, here's the thing. In this tennis tournament, it's not illegal to wear a bulletproof vest.
And then to top things off, the ball boys have, I think, wrist lasers?
Or something. I don't know what they were supposed to have.
Yeah.
I think they have wristles that shoot rubber bullets.
Yeah.
It's coming out of their palms.
Mm-hmm.
It is just as normal as the entire rest of this tennis tournament.
Yeah, and so now they are flailing around all of these gimmicks, and the way this is explained to the announcer is Twilight goes, I guess all those drinks last night have finally caught up to me. He's been doing all this while hungover?
Is this the drunken fist technique from the East?
So they win. There's another glorious full panel of Twilight leaping to hit the final spike as Kim, the brother, is like...
The son, yeah.
Yeah, I've done all these gimmicks. I've tried so hard. I don't want to lose to him, but I can't. He's too overwhelming.
Defeated.
Twilight walks up to him and says, you played a great game. If you trained in the actual technique, you will become a master tennis player. Thank you, sir. I will. And his sister's like, man, this is bunk. I'm done with tennis.
I'm bored with tennis. I quit.
That's a mood. Dumb.
Also, we forgot to mention why they're playing tennis, but in all fairness, it barely matters. There is a painting owned by the guy running this underground tennis tournament that is got a secret message written on the back, which is said to be something that would disrupt the peace.
It's a ticking time bomb.
It's a code that leads to a hidden secret that could reignite the war.
The Zachariah dossier.
Yep. And essentially what happens is the prize for this is the winning team gets one artifact from the person's collection. They obviously choose the painting.
Yeah, because he's a prominent classical art collector.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a minor hiccup in that there was a phone call where he's revealed, oh, I'm terribly sorry, you can't pick that painting. And then they're like, oh, that's a shame. And then off screen, yes, obviously, I was called by the government to not release this because the East Berlin government wants this to reignite the war or something. And it doesn't matter because they steal it and replace it with a forgery entry. So
yeah, because it's Twilight.
The guy who comes to authenticate it is actually Twilight in another. He's in 2 Mission Impossible masks
at the same time.
Under the Mission Impossible mask that has him as the art dealer authenticating the painting so he can swap it out with an actual forgery is his tennis persona Mission Impossible mask. I think they forgot there were 2 of them because he. At the end of one chapter, he takes off one Mission Impossible mask, and at the beginning of the next one, he takes off the second.
But they get the prize. It turns out the guy was just hiding his secret love of musical theater, and especially postcards of the young actresses,
starlets.
Which is kind of weird because I don't think I think that's a very like J-pop thing. But well, I guess that's how East and West Berlin work.
Very specifically, his wife found it weird and she didn't understand. And she said he had to get rid of it, but he didn't want to because these are rare collectibles. So he just hid them away in a warehouse somewhere.
And the thing I really like about this is it actually ends up being kind of wholesome if you actually think about it, because they would have known if he was like cheating on his wife or something like that. That would have come up. He wasn't like looking for a mistress or anything. I sort of get the impression, and especially because of the images that they show of him, I get the impression that like he wanted to go into theater, and his personal favorite things to watch in the theater, they explicitly say, were musical comedies. He was genuinely just trying to benefit the stars of his favorite shows, which is honestly kind of adorable.
For the sake of his marriage, he hid this kind of embarrassing, but ultimately incredibly harmless secret. He just got really elaborate about it because he lives in a Cold War analog. So
it's like during the war, while he was one of the people who helped negotiate the end of the war, and during the war, in getting to know the people he was negotiating with to make negotiations run more smoothly, the way he phrased it is, if my wife found out about it, it would reignite the war in our marriage, and I don't want to do that because I love her so much. And that ended up through a game of telephone turned into the myth.
Handler thinks it's very funny. Twilight is annoyed.
He's displeased by this, and I think it's cute.
But we have a great moment where Nightfall is giving Twilight a ride home, and he's like, drop me off here. Why? I could just take you straight to your place. And he's like, yeah, and let my neighbors see me get out of a car with a attractive young woman? No, I'm Lloyd Forger, a happily married man. I'm not going to cause that fire.
Nosy housewives call the secret police on people for assumedly having affairs, and I'm like, that seems like a waste of the secret police's time, but maybe not.
I mean, given that one of the heads of it is Yuri, that tracks.
I mean, hey, if you're so unloyal you can't even stay with your wife, can you stay loyal to your country?
Dun dun dun.
Your country is like a second wife, a second, more beautiful, larger wife.
Lloyd gets dropped off near the park where Yor happens to be playing tennis with Anya. And it's like, oh, hey, family, this is convenient. What are you doing here?
And Bond is ball dog.
Yeah. Anya's gotten really into tennis. I hit so many home runs.
I love Anya.
Nightfall decides, so despite all of this, despite this incredible performance I put on, he's still dedicated to this sham marriage and the way the mission is now. I need to confront her directly. And so she goes to challenge Yor to a death match of tennis. And yours like, weird flex, but okay. And
Well, yours more like, this woman I'm secretly threatened by. I accept your challenge. And then Twilight's like, I have no idea what's going on. You really don't need to do this. I'm not sure what's her problem. No, I need to do this. I need to do this. I have no idea what's going on. Meanwhile, Anya's just like, I suddenly understand everything Becky means about hot drama. I love action battles.
Becky continuing to be a bad influence even when she's not present.
but yours like, I need to go all out. She, enters death mode. She does a big swing, and it looks like she completely freaking whiffs. The ball just drops to the ground. Nightfall is like, you're so pathetic, you can't even serve a ball. And then the ball splits into a bunch of chunks. And
in the shape of the tennis racket's laces.
And yours like, all right, if I swing too hard, then the laces on the tennis racket just cut through and destroy it. I'm sorry, Mr. Ball. I guess I do need to hold back.
No, seriously, what? How? What?
And as Nightfall is trying to calculate this, Bond goes and hands Yor another ball, and she holds back. She uses 10% of her power this time and hits a ball that breaks the sound barrier. And Nightfall is like, this will go wildly out of bounds. I don't care. If I don't return this, I'm going to die. It's not dropped off its trajectory at all between her and me. It's going so fast.
I need to hit it.
She tries to return the serve. She pours all of her love for Twilight into it. She is activating her shonen powers, and her Wise branded tennis racket shatters.
Oh, I love this 2-page spread because you get to see all of her tennis gear is Wise branded on the secret mission she was on.
I love it.
Or don't buy Wise. It doesn't sound like it holds up.
Mm-hmm. Apparently not. Yor versus Ultra Instinct Shaggy. You made me use 10% of my power.
You gotta buy whatever tennis racket Yor is using that has piano wire for strings.
To slice through the ball like that, yeah.
So, Nightfall declares defeat, runs away, and sobbing is driving down the road like, I will become stronger and defeat you.
She is absolutely heartbroken.
She is a mess, and it is hilarious.
She holds herself together just long enough for Twilight to not see her like completely breaking down, and he's like, okay, that just happened.
And at the end of all of this, Twilight goes, I feel more tired than ever.
Me too, Twilight. Me too.
Unfortunately, Twilight does not get to take any breaks because he immediately gets Frankie, right? Is his friend?
Yeah.
His contact, I guess.
The contact who's constantly charged with babysitting. Even though he hates babysitting, he's super good at it.
He's really good.
Frankie would consider Twilight a friend, but I don't think Twilight considers Frankie a friend.
Mm-hmm. You think you can just pay me off with money? Who do you think I am? Okay, guys, who wants to go to the park?
Yeah. I can be very easily bribed.
Well, I interpreted like he was like, this is not about the money. I really do hate babysitting. Please do not call me.
But he takes the money and does it anyway.
I'm a sucker for money, so of course I'm going to do it. I just want you to know I'm unhappy about it. But anyway, let's go hang out with Anya, because he's also very good at babysitting Anya is what it comes out. Like, is he being a great role model? No, but a lot of people in Anya's life aren't great role models, so you can't really pick and choose there.
I mean, in all honesty, there's an argument to be made that Yor is the best role model in Anya's life, and in a lot of ways, good. Not in every way.
If Anya couldn't read Yor's mind, Yor would be the best role model. Some could argue reading her mind makes her a terrible role model, but
yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
But the reason why Frankie has been paid to babysit is Twilight has finally gotten the hint, but the women in his life are unhappy about something, and maybe he should try and get to the bottom of this. So he is taking his wife on a cocktail date, which maybe could have sprung for dinner, Twilight. It seems like this is more of a... But no, I guess going to the bar with your wife, that's Fine.
That's fine.
He wants it to be casual, I guess.
Fair. He goes to the bar he likes with Yor. They are both dressed up for the occasion. Yor apologizes because work had her late that night. I think it's her clerical job. They do not clarify.
Hard to tell.
And
I doubt it.
they are meeting at the bar, and my favorite line in all this, which is a hard competition for this chapter alone, but is they sit down at the bar. Twilight orders for both of them. He orders Yor like a Ruby's kiss or something, like something sufficiently girly. A red queen, yep, which is very on brand. And then proceeds to go, I'll have a bottle of my usual scotch. And I'm like, okay, buddy, how badly do you think this conversation is going to go that you just order a bottle of your scotch?
Whatever.
Oh, does she order her own drink? I believe.
I thought Twilight ordered for both of them, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, which would make sense, like why you would ask for, can I have a bottle for the table, or can I have a bottle of wine if you're ordering for 2 people?
It's a bottle of scotch is the problem.
Scotch for himself.
You're gonna need this, I'm gonna need this, we're gonna get through this as painlessly as possible.
Oh no.
I love this scene so much because it's Twilight. Twilight just thinks he's having a casual conversation with the woman who agreed to be his wife. Yor has a very different idea of what's happening because
Yor
is freaking out. Freaking out.
You're struggling.
Even more so, he thinks he's having a conversation with the friend who agreed to be his fake wife. Because again, from Twilight's perspective, as much as his subconscious might be pushing him in the direction we all want him to go, he's still strictly business, which actually kind of probably explains the scotch to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a lot of scotch, but Yor effectively got the equivalent of the "we need to talk" text, whereas Twilight's just going like, "Yeah, we need to talk about this," and then Yor got, "We need to talk about this." Oh no!
Mm-hmm. And so Yor is bracing herself for. Are yours trying to be like, look, it's okay if you want to just divorce me and go with Fiona. She's obviously better for you, but she can't bring herself to say it. So she needs liquid courage. She downs her whole cocktail. It's still not enough. Grabs the bottle of scotch, downs half of that.
And this is why he asked for the bottle. He knows his wife. She needs that bottle.
Well, no, Twilight's saying, Yor, stop, that will kill you.
Not knowing assassins are immune to all forms of poison. That's just something everybody knows.
And then the lightweight that the Breyer family is.
Immediately starts slurring her words. Fiona's so pretty.
You used to think I was pretty, didn't you? Is that a lie? She's slurring so hard he's not Lloyd, he's Royd.
And then here's Twilight. Did I misread the situation? Does she actually have genuine feelings for me? And
wait, if she does, then tick, 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 Twilight mode activated. Boot up time, 0.1 seconds.
Twilight has to take a second to like fully get into. I've done this a million times. I am, as Jay loves pointing out, a honeypot. I just need to say what women love to hear.
He takes her hand. He leans in close.
You're the most beautiful woman I've ever met, and I think I really want to know. Would you be my real wife? And Yor cannot handle this.
Her ba-dump meter maxes out, cracks the roof, and smashes all the way into the next panel of her kicking Lloyd in the chin because her embarrassment is too strong.
Did I misread the situation? What's going on?
Lloyd gets kicked up into the air, manages to do a perfect flip, and lands on his feet stylishly. We get some people in the bar clapping at how impressive that was, and then he goes like, Oh, I misread I got rejected. She does not have genuine feelings. I misread. And like, oh, wait, no, I'm falling unconscious. And I'm like, mad respect from my boy there. He landed on his feet and then fell unconscious.
No, it's great because he's like, such power. Only someone who is genuinely rejecting you can exhibit that much strength. And it's like, no, that's just how strong Yor is. The baseline is not in this universe, Twilight. But he's like, but then what was all of that before about jealous. I don't. And he falls over.
And then wakes up in lying on a park bench in Yor's lap, which is also adorable.
To the sound of the lullaby his mother used to sing. So he kind of wakes up going like, wait, what? And it's Yor singing to him. And he's like, oh.
Wait, Yor, where are we? What happened? How long was I out? You're out for like 5 minutes. The barkeep kicked us out for making a scene.
Because she is still
smashed.
Yor says good morning. And I thought like, oh man, were they out all night? But no, it's been 5 minutes.
Yor is that drunk. I wouldn't take much stock in many of the things she says. They have a really good moment, Lloyd assuring her that, you know, he would never think of replacing her and all that.
Mm-hmm.
All that cute schmaltzy stuff.
Brute strength is all I have. Yeah, the strength of will you needed to raise your brother when you two were orphans, that's the sort of strength that I need to make a good life for Anya. No, I was talking about my super strength that I used to kill people. What?
Yeah, Twilight, did you not notice I kicked a car? Oh, you weren't there for that. Did you not notice?
Really, I think it speaks more to the level of immense physical fitness that Twilight must have to not have had his neck broken 20 different ways from that kick.
That's why, again, they were made for each other.
They're made for each other. They just need to be honest with each other.
I know.
And my favorite part is they then end up going home. And at this point, Lloyd's chin has swollen up because he got kicked real hard to like he looked like a bald chinian from Men in Black.
Men in Black, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And we do have a very sweet moment of Frankie's like, man, they sure are taking a long time to get back. I bet they're shacking up. How do you know that?
Becky.
Becky.
How do you know that turn of phrase? Anyway, Anya, what do you think of your mom and dad? Oh, I love them. Just full stop. Didn't even think about it. First thing out of her mouth. And it's the sweetest thing. And then Lloyd shows up with his Balchinian disguise, and the moment is ruined, as it always is.
It ends on...
Mama and Papa, were you smooching?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It ends on a little panel the next morning. Lloyd, what happened to your face? Did you not remember any of the things that happened last night? And then there's a little text box saying they then had the exact same conversation again. So good thing that Yor was sober for it this time and will remember.
And that, dear listeners, brings us to the end of our reading. Oh man, this is a ton of fun. I'm so glad we came back to this property.
I'm so glad we had a reason to come back to this property. I cannot wait to see all of this in motion.
Same. I need to see every little bit of Yor being a friggin' Dawncast, just annihilating things in full animation.
Actually, here's a fun one. I want to see what they do about the lip reading shenanigans with...
Yeah. We skimmed over it, but I want to see the short story with Bond animated, where he got jealous of Anya's penguin.
The little in-betweener chapters weren't quite as good as last time. I do like the one with Bond. Since our first question is favorite characters, I feel like mentioning this about Bond. He's very much a side character, and I think that makes sense because... as much as I love dogs, the human drama is more complex. So there's more to do with it. Having him be a fun side character is, I feel better. And the best of the shorter chapters was definitely the one where Anya's penguin from another one of the side chapters.
Bond murders it. She wakes up to it ripped apart by tooth and fang, and Bond's having his guilty dog look in the corner, and then Yor's just like, oh, don't worry, honey, I'll fix it for you. And Yor cannot housewife, so she actually makes it worse. And
he's
Twilight,
even more dead now.
Twilight has to combat medic it back together, and it's real cute because Twilight goes scars are a warrior's pride. And then Bond comes in with a bag of peanuts he stole from the kitchen to give to Anya. And Twilight just goes, oh, well, the dog stole food from the kitchen. Well, I guess I'm just going to reward this behavior.
Yeah.
He knows that Bond is super intelligent. And it's look, that's an apology for killing Agent Penguin.
But yeah, my favorite character, I mentioned it earlier in the episode, it's Yor. Yor was just an absolute delight. this entire reading. We got a lot of really good moments with her. We got lots of good growth as well. While it didn't exactly advance the OTP as much as I would have liked, I really enjoyed the final chapter where she started to reveal her true feelings and acknowledge them. And she kicked a bleeding car at highway speeds into a telephone pole. She's so cool. So, Jake, you were explaining why Bond wasn't your favorite? Or...
Yeah, basically, because it's like, obviously I could give the joke answer of Big Floofy Dog is my favorite character, but he's very much a side character. Like, he's kind of on the same tier as Frankie is. I'd love to see stories that are specifically about Bond, and we're probably going to get them, but they're definitely not going to be like the focus of an arc or anything. As for who is my favorite character, that's a pretty tough one, because I feel like Yor got the least character development, but she kicked a car into a wall at highway speed. And it's pretty hard to top that. Both Twilight and Anya did have some really good, solid character development. I think I'm going to go with, last time it was Anya, and this is such a razor margin, but I think this time I'm actually going to go with Twilight as my favorite character. Nightfall was also great, and so was Daybreak. Like the characters are, as always, great. I want to shout them all out. But the thing I really liked about Twilight is, there were really subtle things. When he saw that Anya passed all of her exams, midterm exams, fair and square, he could have cheated for her and given her stellar stars. But he didn't, because he's being a good father and letting her, have that victory that is genuinely hers. The subconscious desire for Twilight to have this actually be his real family and to have this not be a lie, but have it be genuine is coming through in really subtle ways. It really does a good job of, as I've mentioned, you gotta endear the audience to Twilight, or else he will quickly become a hated character for being the wrench in the relationship. And I really enjoyed seeing the genuine Twilight coming out in the subtle ways that it did.
Nightfall will be higher in my estimation if she wasn't here to ruin the OTP.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Honestly, if she ends up becoming paired spares with Yuri, that would be incredibly funny.
I kind of did have that idea that might happen. I don't know if that will, and I'm not 100% sure I want it to happen, but I'm open to the possibility.
I just think it would be incredibly hilarious that neither of them got the one they wanted, so they just settled for the one who was obsessed with the other.
You do know they're on opposite sides of the war, right?
Yeah.
I mean, technically so are Twilight and Yor.
Mm-hmm.
No, they aren't.
We don't know. Yor's not on the...
Yes, she is. She works for the Eastern government.
She expressly is about cleaning up the country by going out and committing extrajudicial murder.
So
Yeah.
wait, she and Yuri are on this...
No, yeah, I think her day job is not the same thing as her night job is the thing.
That's where I'm
Because
confused.
she's worried about getting found out for being a assassin is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, but
it's extrajudicial, but it's for the same government that Yuri is working for. She's just doing
the same
it
one that
off
her
the
day
books.
job is for.
Yeah, she's just doing it off the books.
I don't think so. I think she's working for the shopkeeper or whatever. It seems to be more so these are bad people, because there never seems to be any moral. She's killing criminals.
That's the justification she's using, but she has mentioned multiple times about being a patriot of the country she's in. She's doing it because she's a patriot.
Jay, just talk about your favorite character.
Yeah, Jay, what's your favorite character?
So no surprise, my favorite character is our adorable little Peanut.
That is an excellent pick.
Bond is not a peanut. Bond is destroyer of peanuts.
He could have been.
Just because I love the continuation of Anya's knowledge but not understanding, the fact that she just seems to stumble through these very precarious situations, and I just love her genuine reactions, and at times I find myself aligning with her reaction of literally, how do I even process this information?
Anya has the unique situation of being an audience perspective character and also having the power of audience omniscience.
Yeah. It's surprising a like tiny, probably younger than 8-year-old psychic girl is a character one can so strongly personally identify with.
It's like, I have the truth here, but even the truth is stranger than fiction, as they say. A close second would have to be Yor, for previously stated reasons. It's good to see her be reflective in the areas in which she wants to improve. She does want to, do well by Lloyd and learn how to cook and support her family. She's very big on family, and that's something that obviously has been important to her entire life when she was raising Yuri. It's something that she obviously looks to continue, even if she is in a, paper marriage. But I still want to put my best foot forward. I'm a diligent and hard worker.
And also at this point, she very obviously wants it to be real.
Oh, yes.
I do too, Yor. I'm on your side.
Yeah, we out here. She's got shooters out here. Yeah. Matt, your favorite character?
Oh man, you know me. I think last time I said Yuri was my favorite character. Because I love me some like amazing, like I'm super jealous of you rom-com energy. So my favorite character this time was Nightfall, because she is the best. Oh, she makes Twilight feel so dumb. She makes Anya feel threatened. She makes Yor feel threatened, and I'm just like, ooh, good, because that is where the comedy comes from.
Yeah, it's like I said, if she wasn't here to break up the OTP, she'd probably be my favorite too.
She's my favorite because she's here to break up the OTP.
Oh, you like homewreckers. I see who you are.
Yes, because I think they're funnier than not. If everyone gets along super well, that's not a great comedy.
Yeah, the comedy doesn't happen then.
So all this talk does kind of supersede our next point, or lead into our next point of the thoughts on the new romantic rival. Big quotes around those, Jake.
I mean,
both words.
I'm just saying, I made my comments very clear in the notes that we are totally not working off of.
I actually do have one thing I wanted to note about her. So one thing that's worth remembering is that her wackiness is dialed up, from 9 to 12 billion because comedy. But one thing I kind of liked about the way that she was presented, like we see a lot of her internal monologue. And one of the things that she does, like right before the tennis tournament starts, is that she mentions in her internal monologue that like being around Yor has made Twilight go soft. He doesn't have that like cold devil may care exterior that he should have as the master spy I know he is. The man who trained me has been softened by this assignment. And her almost immediate reaction, and like not that she can, again, because she's wacky and dialed up for the sake of comedy, not that she can really parse out this like, mental connection, but like he's happier and she appreciates that. And at first she's kind of annoyed that he's not, as strong and as stoic as he used to be. But then she realizes, no, actually, I kind of like him better this way. He's happier. And as much as she's the homewrecker coming in to break up the OTP, and as much as she is unhealthily obsessed with her romantic interest, which is not great, I do actually feel some pretty genuine sympathy for her, and I want her to, find a healthy relationship to be a part of. Which again is why I don't necessarily know I want this to be a thing, but I'm open to the possibility.
I did like the insinuation, the idea that the fact that Twilight has become more domestic appealed to her, in the idea that, oh, he can be more than a super cool spy. He's got depth. He can actually be a good husband. Well, that takes this from schoolgirl crush on cool teacher to actual possibility. So you're saying there's a chance. Again, as much as I am joking about she's here to wreck the OTP, she's terrible, must be destroyed. I do appreciate that complexity of character.
And she is also incredibly funny, which is
she's
really
very
important.
She is responsible for my favorite, like, 3 pages of Anya, it's 4 pages, isn't it? Of Anya reacting to her, going like, "I love Twilight so much."
That is so good.
And Anya's like, "Lady, what?"
What?
I have no idea how to respond to this.
So yeah, favorite arcs in our reading, everybody. I think it's easy for me to say the tennis arc is my favorite.
Is it just going to be
Same.
tennis
I
arc
loved
around
the tennis arc.
Jay, what about you? Are you going to make the tennis arc unanimous?
Jay hates sports anime, so probably not.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we've been laughing about the tennis arc more recently. I will say I do really love the first arc with obtaining Bond.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The Bond arc is also really, really good.
that was what I was gonna say was my favorite arc because puppy.
Because dogs.
It had a lot of good Anya comedy in it, but it was also like a legitimately intense spy thriller for a hot minute.
Well, not just that. You got Yor being a mama bear. You got Anya saving the world. You got comedy in there with her random ketchup drawings. You got Lloyd having to poop so bad and all that stuff. You got dogs. You got the morality or immorality of using dogs to carry out human business. And you got dogs rising above and being better than people.
It's the entire Spy X family package.
Counterpoint, there was no Nightfall.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm saying the tennis arc is my favorite from a pure comedy perspective. Like, it had its intense spy moments, but it was just...
It was jokes all the way down, yeah.
We're continuing to dominate despite the increasingly insane gimmicks that they were facing. It felt like a top-tier player just not caring that the difficulty was getting cranked higher and higher with every round. Like,
No,
someone going
that's
from...
that's some top tier like sports shonen satire right there. It's like, yes, our next opponent is even stronger. No, I'm just better.
It's like we've gone from Dead Cells 0 boss cells all the way to Dead Cells boss cell 5, and they didn't even notice. And that is incredibly funny.
I think I am actually going to revise and agree with Jay that obtaining Bond arc is my favorite for a couple of reasons. I think that there is more consistently funny jokes in the tennis arc, and that's the reason why, combined with the primacy, I freaking love it. But the thing I actually really like now that I'm thinking about it, like now that I've dedicated a little thought to it, it's not just that, like, I really liked a lot of the jokes in obtaining Bond, because like any of the stuff with Yor was so unbelievably funny. Like, her kicking that car slayed me. It will never not. And like the thinking that the bomb drawing was an eggplant. But there's also the fact that I actually really enjoyed the real thriller spy elements of it. I mean, they were done farcically a little bit, but not totally farcically. You know, there was real legitimate tension to it. Like they made you scared for Twilight, you know, with how graphic that one panel was. And then on top of that, you actually have some, you know, like Anya, legit, no joke, no wacky shenanigan hijinks. Anya saved the world, and she's rightly really proud of it. Like, she has a real moment, and you know that's sort of like the saving the drowning boy moment of, you know, this is that step forward of, you know, Anya is growing into a truly extraordinary person. And then also, you know, as much as, you know, we mentioned that like Yor, you know, it gets undercut with jokes, but Yor and Lloyd both have really, really cool moments where they look incredibly badass. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that as my favorite.
I will never tire of basically every shot of Yor that could be mapped onto that moment in One Punch Man where Saitama is training with Genos, and it's the massive image of Saitama with death written over it. Just Yor pulls that off on the regular, and it will always hit for me. She's a shade of death. She is Thanatos. She's a monster, and it's great.
I love it.
But yeah, I don't think this is a question that needs asking, but would you continue reading? Absolutely. I can't wait to continue reading and watch the anime.
So much yes.
Yes.
Yep. I'm excited.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the OverMangaCast. I hope you're all having a great 2022 so far. As always, you can find us on every social media where we are at OverMangaCast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I don't know.
Drop us comments on YouTube if you want to comment on a particular episode.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Also, review on your podcast app of choice. We love those. I think more and more are letting you do individual episodes now, too. So that's fun.
Indeed. Nice. Go give us a 5-star on Spotify. That's the only one I know, so that's the only one I know to do.
iTunes as well.
iTunes as well. And tune in next week where we are doing some more revisiting. We're going from one good family to a bunch of good boys. We're going back to Demon Slayer.
Woo!
Weird transition. It's a good family who is to the red light district because we are reading chapters 70 through 99, the entertainment district arc. So,
oh boy,
delightful.
Our boy's going to learn some things.
Or not.
Or not. Probably.
Stay tuned.
I'm going to learn some things.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I'd like to learn some things. Good night, everybody.
Good night.